do you believe that people just have this negative addiction, and it's an emotional addiction, and it's like a chemical in the brain, which I think you do believe, or do you believe that there's actual invisible demonic entities that are looking at us in the room, literally staring at us, staring at you in the room? Okay, again, this is like us smoking a blunt metaphorically. We're just guessing here, okay? Not objective, not spreading anything that's saying it's objective. Do you believe that there's actual demons or even angels that are watching you? Do you believe that when you do public speaking that you're summoning, like that you're channeling supernatural powers? And, they'll cut this out of context. We're just having a little fun here, but they're going to cut out of context like we're serious. But, literally, and that when you have, and no, I did not drink. Someone's like, does Tyler drink? Hungover of, yes, we just, if you don't know why we feel hungover today, watch the video. We were screaming, going crazy. Then we're waking up the neighborhood. It was totally epic. It was like an explosion. It was like a climax. Go to the Julien Himself YouTube channel. Go see that. You'll see what I'm talking about, okay? If you missed it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go subscribe to Julien Himself. Follow Julien Himself on Instagram. Follow him on YouTube. So do you think that there's actual invisible demonic entities looking at us right now, watching us, and that if our force field breaks down, that they'll literally attack us? Or do you think that based on what we've seen in some of our really close friends, and as well as people that we've, maybe spent time with or intimate time with or whatever, do you think that it was a demon running them and a possession? Or do you think, like even take like psychopaths or sociopaths that go do horrific things, they harm people, they harm themselves, other people that we've even seen in the community, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that like for example, say you were to search us in the search engine and you see people making certain commentary videos about us, do you think that if someone like that is possessed by a demon, or do you think it's just sociopathy? Do you think it's a personality disorder of psychopathy, sociopathy, pure genetic, purely emotional addictions and so on and so forth? Or do you think it's a demon? What is your opinion? And I think it could be either, by the way, and I have possible explanations for both, or both could be true. But I'm curious your opinion on this. And again, it's not empirical. We're just speculating. What is your opinion in this? Your honest opinion, too.
Honestly, both. However, I'll go a little bit more on this demon idea. So, like, it's demons and angels.
And this is just us guessing, guys. And yes, Catholic blog, this is live.
Here's my take on how you could interpret it as being demons and angels. Like if someone says that, like, are there these forces, so on and so forth? Yes, there are. Are they demons and angels?
Our best guess.
Yes.
Because let's be clear.
No.
Our content is freaking empirical.
Yes.
This is casting the net wider.
Here we're going wide.
Guessing.
But to kind of explain this or how it could be interpreted that way, I do think that there are forces out there, okay? There's external forces and internal forces that are looking to take over, that get activated in you and in others. And when they are activated in others, they will try to find their way into you. And it can reach that point where they do take over so much that you are no longer really you and they have become you, okay? So let's take a very simple example and we'll go a lot deeper.
And by the way, to prepare you, at some point in this broadcast, I'd love for you to share some of your experience of why you believe that. Because I have reasons that I've seen that, like, I can't find a better explanation. So at some point we cover that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll baby step you there. But think of this whole expression, right? It's like your buttons being pushed, right? Or your strings being pulled, or something inside you just getting activated or triggered, right? A word that's passed around left and right in this day and age. Like everyone's just triggered. Say you get really mad, right? Or think of one of those times where you're just really angry, you get triggered, you hear something and you just like explode, right? That there, usually after the fact, when you look back, you're like, that was a little weird. I kind of overreacted. What was that? That wasn't really me. Something kind of took over. Okay, this is just day-to-day talk. People say this. Something kind of took over, and I'm sure you've had experiences just like it. Well, you got to ask yourself there, well, what exactly did take over? What was that anger energy in a way that just kind of possessed me at that moment in time that did take over, that perhaps propelled me to take certain actions to express it or try to get rid of it or to look for more evidence or things to reinforce it and keep it alive? What was that, right? That anger energy. On a deeper level, right, you could also examine that fear energy. Right? People get triggered, for example, when it comes to public speaking and they just like fear for their lives. What was that? Something inside of you just getting poked at. Or people sometimes have that with a breakup and they just can't get over it years or decades. What was that? Now, that's just a simple example.
That long-term
right?
breakup thing is so sad too.
Yeah.
You can't get over it for years. So sad.
Oh, it's terrible. You'll see even like people who are like in their 80s, say remarried, and they're still looping, for example, for that, first partner or an earlier relationship.
I have people like that. Not to, it sounds like a humble brag, but it's actually sad to watch, even though it's like a humble brag. I have several people like that for me that every day blow me up on the phone and it's nonstop, and it's sad to see it because I try to let them down. I don't know how to do it, but I don't feel like it's about me. I feel like it's something running them. I think that they're just, the thing running them is using me as the way to kind of bash them over the head. Yeah. It's not me. It's something running them using some image of me to put themselves through the ringer.
But bringing it back to, say, that anger example, and funny enough, we talked about this a bit in the live yesterday, so definitely go check it out on the channel. But
little blue blocker guys.
Someone's like, what's the glasses?
I'm just trying to look cool, but yeah.
Say you do get triggered and you're angry. Really sink into it, okay? It takes over. So we already kind of talked about that, like that feeling of something taking over. But when it takes over, it wants to live. It wants to survive as long as it can. And I'm sure once you're in that state of anger, suddenly your focus is looking for anything and everything to be even more angry. And it actually feels good. It feels like, ooh, like I feel even more alive, right? Say you get a text and you're like, screw that person. And you know what? So you start thinking about your past, this other event and that person, and you're just mad. And say now you're driving somewhere. It's like, why is this car in front of me just so slow? And that person, and it just, again, there's that snowball effect. That momentum builds with the anger to the point where even if someone tries to take the momentum out of it, and say you find out the reason you were mad, you didn't even have to be mad. It was actually completely wrong. You misinterpreted something. You will see that energy will not just disappear like that. You'd think you're mad because of this. It turns out the reason you're mad is false, right? The fact checkers checked it. It wasn't the right reason. You'd think, oh, okay, I'm not mad now. But that's not true. That momentum's there, and you're going to be like, but still, and look for more reasons. That's a small example. What about if you take this phenomenon on a larger scale? What if there's been things like this that have been running you and staying alive just like that? I'm angry your entire life. Perhaps something got activated earlier on in life, and just like you being mad, you started fueling it, looking for things to reinforce it, and it just stayed. You didn't come out of it after the fact like, oh, what was that? I'm sorry about that, but you're still in it now. That there, linking it to how you could say, okay, demons or angels take over, that would be my take on it. So it's not so much like, okay, there's, an actual demon stirring right here behind me, but perhaps there is some kind of energy that's just there and just is staying alive. And sometimes you might think, okay, it's coming out strong, but it'll actually retreat, but never fully disappear. It's just like subtle in the background, like a subtle hum in the background, still there, still pulling your strings, still waiting to be activated. And yes, in my opinion, and again, this is totally out there, there are things like that. You can think of them as like these energetical leeches or invisible, like demons, parasites that are on you, just sucking the soul out of you.
What specific experiences did you have that led you to believe? Was it people who we've worked with and know and watching their downfall and watching their shift in personality, or was it maybe seeing clients that are really, really struggling, or was it something that you felt attack you? Like what? Because I have some very specific key experiences where I'm like, I'm reading through psychology books and I'm trying to find answers. And I'm like, what's the answer? And then suddenly the demon thing begins to make more sense.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to read books about psychopathy, sociopathy, things like that to try to understand the neurochemical basis of it. And it almost begins to feel like the books about psychos is like a joke and they just can't accept the truth that there's demons. That I have no proof of this. I don't see them. It's just the vibe that I personally get. A lot of things I see are empirical. I don't even like talking about this because so much of what we focus on is empiricism and verification and trying to disprove ourselves and being very logical. So I feel like this is sort of outside that, so I get uncomfortable talking about it. But as long as I think we clarify that we're not seeing anything, or maybe you do, I don't, but I feel like I can talk to somebody and I can see what's running them.
Yep.
But I don't like talking about it because if I had heard that 15 years ago, I'd think the person's an idiot. So, and it doesn't mean I think I'm right for sure, but it's just, I'm like 70% sure that that's what it is, but I'm not 100% sure.
So at first, you always see it in others. Way easier to see in others than in yourself. And I would see it on a more subtle level at first, where people would just kind of loop on this one thing again and again and again, right? Like some example that actually came to mind right now. Remember when we were in Seattle and there was that kombucha guy?
Yes.
And he just kept looping. So we went to this kombucha brewery, and
Soma.
and he hated Soma kombucha,
Soma?
which is he hated
yeah.
Soma. So it was in Seattle, and there's this other brewery in Portland, I believe, called Soma. And he's like, they took my recipe and this thing, and you just kept looping and looping. And no matter what you tried to do, you tried to steer the conversation here, steer it there, he would just bring it back. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? Is this really the person we're talking to, or is this some kind of like entity that took over and is just obsessing and fixating on that one thing? So there were many examples of that.
I want to say something first too. Yeah. Try to understand that Julie and I, this is a context that could be lost on you, okay? For about 10 years, we sat there just watching people because we'd be teaching live events and we're meeting different people for several days and we're watching them interact and we're watching them very, very, very up close. Our job, for myself, it's 19 years. For you, it's about 11 years. It's a long time, okay? I know you just hear these numbers like, 19 years, 30 years combined. Like, you hear that, it sounds like a number. But like, that's our real life. And, we just spend a lot of time watching people. And then we spend a lot of time talking to each other, but also talking not just to each other, talking to people with outside perspectives, people all over the political spectrum. Literally, as Julian's waiting for me to get up, I've got another friend of mine outside who's like a liberal elite, hangs out with the billionaires in those liberal elite Illuminati-esque type circles. I'm like, Julian, go talk to that guy. I've got friends on the, the other side of that equation. I've got friends in between. I've got friends that are more logical, people that are so logical that if they heard this conversation, they'll walk out of the room, but they're very financially successful. Friends that wouldn't think we're going far enough. Friends that would be mad that we said that demons aren't 100% sure. They're like, how do you say that? No, it's so real. Why are you even tempering the truth? Whereas other friends of ours would just like run out of here like these guys are morons, but they seem to be successful, so I guess I'll talk to them later. So both Julie and I, we don't just get in a silo of our own opinion. I mean, I think every human probably does to an extent, but I am personally, and Julian is personally, always looking for someone to show where we are wrong. And the reason why is because the stakes are high. If we're showing something that is wrong, that is being transmitted to many people who can transmit it to many more people, to many more people, to many more people. So we are always cross-referencing and finding out areas that we could brush up on, that we could improve. And it doesn't mean that we're right about everything because nobody is, but there is a huge part of our process behind the scenes that you're not seeing where we're trying to find out where we're wrong. So imagine that you spend combined 30 years just watching people many hours a week. Julian does it now in trauma release. I do it in high status communication. We've done it for years in our original content. Just watching you, seeing what you're doing, try to understand where you're coming from, try to know what's running you, try to help you to upgrade that, and trying to help you to reach your potential, and trying to help you to get rid of blocks that are impeding you from getting there. So in watching this, we're able to examine what is someone's psychology? What is running them? What is their paradigm? What are they driven by? What are their beliefs? What is their focus? What is their RAS focusing on? What is their physiology? What self-fulfilling prophecies are they creating? How is that creating real-life reference experiences that are reinforcing their beliefs? How can we raise them up? How can we get them to let go of things that are dragging them down? And we're just studying, as well as the people who we're meeting, not the people we're coaching, but the people who we meet and they meet, and studying them. And we've done this forever and ever and ever, like way too long. Probably should have found other hobbies, but that's what we did. For better or worse, that's what we did. You might even argue it's for the worse. But for better or worse, that's what we did. And meanwhile, tried to also, I'm really so obsessed with this that I would just do it, 24 hours a day. But I tried to even have a little bit of a broader life too, so that I'm not just so narrow that I'm still too myopic. So I still try to go to parties, go out, meet new people, go on dates, go have some fun. So I broaden it just enough that I have the perspective and meet and socialize and in kind of like this fun state. But then at the same time, obsess over it 24/7 at the same time, try to hit that perfect balance. It's the same thing. People try to learn social skills. If you only just go out and socialize all the time, but you don't do things for you, ironically, it actually messes up your social skills. So you want to have kind of a balance. And we've really, really both tried to do this and tried to be, have a really, just the best perspective we can get. It doesn't mean they're right about everything. We aren't, because nobody is. Nobel Prize winners are not, but we're out there trying to get it.
Except for the fact checkers.
Yeah, except the fact checkers. So, okay. Oh man, you guys wait till
fact checkers. We are sorry.
We are sorry. Wait till you see what's coming with the fact checkers in the coming years, guys. It's getting crazier and crazier. Anyway, all right. So Orwell had a thing or two to say about it. Now, from there, basically what you have is that We've studied this. So you get to the point where you study it and 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 you study it. And you're looking for explanations. You're reading psych books. You're reading the DSM. You're reading all this different material, trying to find the answer, talking to people. And you start to say to yourself, is this a freaking demon? You're like, is that like, are we just like missing the elusive obvious here that there's just an energetic parasite that this person has begun to resonate with that in their body and it's attracted the demon to clump onto them, and that's just what it is. And I think, by the way, the alternate, and I want to get your take on this, but the alternate perspective also is that oftentimes, and again, I don't like talking about this a lot because I think it's just too weird. When I'm on stage, I honestly feel like if I make these certain tweaks, that it's like some kind of channeling thing is happening. Doesn't mean it's true. There's no like face that's like, Owen, hi, what's up? Good to see you. How you been? There's nothing like that going on. But what will happen, I wouldn't say that I'm there now. Now I'm more like, I'm Owen right now. But sometimes when I do what I'm doing, it doesn't feel like Owen anymore. It feels like I've kind of just turned these certain dials and this other thing has taken over. It knows a lot more than I do. It's more well-spoken than me. It says or a lot less than me. It's funnier than me. It's more knowledgeable than me. It's sharper than me. And I'm kind of addicted to this. And that was a very, very big reason why for many years I even went out to bars and clubs and socialized. Because on a great night out, it feels the same. It just feels like you're just channeling God or something. It's not God, probably. I don't know, but it just feels like it, subjectively. So that's what I'm kind of trying to, and by the way, like, see, there's a guy here called David Tolle, right? And he says, Owen, just say it straight. When a guy like David Tolle, I love you, bro. I see you watching myself. I'm super appreciative, by the way, so thank you. I'm trying to make the point that I try to be able, I don't want to just speak to the converted here. There's people, they've got their crystal in their pocket and they're like, oh, we've been waiting for this one. Oh, this is just great. That doesn't bring in anybody. So I want to emphasize empiricism because I was that person who never would have even considered this stuff. And I hit a point in my journey. It's similar to people who, they study the universe, they study physics, and then they hit a point where after years they're like, maybe there's just God. They just kind of hit that point. So that was sort of what happened to me as a result of all my studies. I'm like, oh, maybe there's just God. Maybe there is just demons. And maybe those guys 2,000 years ago were onto something. And it doesn't mean it was all exactly what they said in that book, but they're maybe onto something. So that was sort of the point that I got to, and some of the experience, and I haven't even given some of my experience. I mean, some of the experiences I've had are so crazy, like so beyond insane. And what it's done for me is it's actually allowed me to have great empathy for people in pain because I've seen the bottom, or like what I'd imagine as being the bottom, just like seething pain, seething psychological pain that makes me wish I'm dead, that won't go away. And it doesn't go away for months, and in one case that I had, maybe for a couple of years. I got to the point that I was in so much pain for a couple of years, around 2015, that I never so much got over that as just learned to live with it. The pain actually drove me to a more present state because I couldn't go back down into that pain. So I had to actually train myself to be more present because what happened was so damaging. I may go into it here and I may not. I'm sure we'll discuss at some point. But then also I've had, and this is what's weird, it just seems to be this big range because I've also had experiences that felt to me, and it doesn't mean that it was at all, probably wasn't, but felt to me like enlightenment. I have felt enlightened, and by the way, I've had this feeling accelerating. And again, it doesn't mean that that's what I am, it is not. But that's the feeling that's just how I experienced it, to where I remember that first Satori experience I had when I'm, say, 26 or so. Well, now I can get things like that, maybe once a week or once a month, and it might last an hour, and it's really, really intense. And I've learned to access that when I'm on stage. In some cases, I have better events than others. If I'm doing a live event, a real life training, I have better ones than others. So, a little bit of that guru shtick on there, and you see some of these gurus, like they want to come out and be like, I am this person. I'm not trying to play that card. I'm just saying that I've had a range of experiences, and it's just been really interesting, and I've struggled to learn how to understand it. I've sought out mentors or people that could decode this for me. I don't really know, but it's been cool. All that I'm saying is I felt some things, I've seen some things. It's been cool. It's also been pretty destructive and terrifying and hard, but it's been interesting. I feel like I have insights to share. and I've tried to look for explanations. So that's why I asked you. We said, are we going to do the 10 rules? For those of you just logging in, we said, do we want to do the 10 rules or do we want to do something interesting? And this was something that I don't have the exact answer. So that's why I asked you. So maybe you could share some of your most vicious experiences or best experience or things like that, or anything else you want to share.
Yeah, well, let me expand on what I was saying before too, right? So we took the kombucha guy example, just looping on that. But then you could go a layer deeper, right? An example that I'm sure you've all experienced, and again, it gets a little dark, but if you take someone who, again, is, say, homeless, or it might even seem, quote unquote, crazy in the street, right? Walking down the street, just saying even out loud the same thing again and again and again, you really have to ask yourself, and you can try, right? Go and communicate with those people. Go and talk to them. The majority of people, they're like, oh, crazy person, but go say hi, okay? And what you'll see is, and this is so sad and just terrible, but for the most part, it doesn't even seem like there is someone there anymore, right? Like if you look back, say 10, 20 years, and you might say interview, not that we've done this, but say interview people who knew them before, they probably wouldn't even recognize that person, okay? That's on the more extreme end. Now, those, okay, two spectrums, kombucha guy, homeless person, but then we also saw it in friends of ours, right? Like one comes to mind who I actually even worked with for a little bit, and he started drinking a lot, okay? And then you could even say, and I'm sure you've experienced that or have, when you hear the term mean drunk, someone will drink and suddenly they're not the same person, okay? It kind of opens the gates for those inner demons this time to take over, and we can go even deeper on that. What are these inner demons? What gets activated? Past trauma, okay? Things you've suppressed, things you've disowned. But he started drinking and that would come out. And he started drinking more and more, started doing drugs, and we slowly saw him.
Mention how much money he made at the peak before the downfall.
Oh yeah, he was making like $300,000 a month. Just like that, doing minimal work, just crushing it. And interestingly enough, the money made it way worse. And it was so bad to the point where he started doing heroin, like completely normal, solid guy, all the way to doing like heroin, to having like incidents with the police, have a knife, like just craziness. And it's just baffling to see. You're like, wait a minute, that person doing this? And by the craziness, I mean cops coming in, he has a knife, his parents flying down, he's trying to make out with his mother and have sex with his mother, crazy stuff, okay? And you're like, whoa, like how?
Last time I saw him, he doesn't even remember. I love this guy to death, by the way. That's why
we saw him in the street.
The street, mumbling up the street, looking like a homeless person, just looking
right next to us, like bumped in, didn't even say anything.
Super crazy, so sad, like our homie.
So absolutely insane. You're like, how does that happen, right? Like, how does it go there? So you see it in others, okay? And then you flip the mirror around and you can see it in yourself. And if you want to go even deeper, there's different quote unquote themed demons, okay? One that a lot of people have is the desire demon, the craving demon. And that's one that personally ran me for a long period of time in my life, for years. Okay, it was like the craving, the desire, the lack. It's like, I need the validation, I need the money, I need this, I need the success, I need the status. And nothing was ever enough. And it's sort of like the golem. And that takes over. Just keep this in mind as you go through your day today after watching this. And just start, for now, observing it in others. And ask yourself, with people you interact with, if there were to be a demon or an angel or an entity or an energetic thing that takes over, what would it be? What theme would it be? And can I perhaps really tell when they are present versus something takes over, something gets triggered? How often do they get triggered? How long does it last? What's the theme of the triggerness versus, oh, here's the person, okay? And on the flip side, just as you said, the whole, when an angel takes over, I've definitely experienced that as well, public speaking, as well as socializing. I'm sure you have too. You're talking to someone and you just let go and just vibe and have fun and time flies and you look back and you're like, that was amazing. And the genius comes through.
I can do accents.
Yeah.
I can sing. I can do accents that I couldn't do. I can sing. And I can also project my voice to 700 or 800 people without a microphone, which let me tell you, like, that's the one sad thing for any of you guys that have never seen me or Julien live. Now, I do use a microphone sometimes. I'm not saying that I never do, but I frequently don't. And if I don't use it, people will think I'm mic'd at the back. And you can bring students up to the front of the room. They're using a mic. I'm not. And I'm louder than they are. It's like supernatural. It's really, really wild stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really fun stuff. There's also a lot of kind of stunting that we would maybe do in the old school days as far as socializing, just some certain stunting that just is unreal.
Yeah.
And, that's, there's just some pretty unbelievable stuff that happens. So,
And you experience it in the moment, but also see it, like, say we were to edit, our live videos, and we're like, whoa, like, there's many times where I'm like, who is that? Like,
Yeah,
I'm watching the video, and I'm like, who is that? Like, what? Like, I'm blown away. It actually reminds me of a quote. I think it's Osho who says, I think we talked about this before too. It's like the less there is of you, like the more you can just let go. Something from the quote unquote other side, something supernatural, superhuman comes through. And this is really what creates like those epic works of art or pieces of art or creations that people just look back upon and are considered like masterpieces for years. Why? Because it's not really you who did it. You were just the vessel, and that entity or angel just kind of came through and did it.
that's
right?
why you can't make a good new Star Wars, by the way. Disney can't make a hyper good new Star Wars.
Unless it's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Are you talking about, what is it, the Baby Yoda?
The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
But
Well, I actually enjoy Mandalorian, but it shows how far we've fallen that like Mandalorian is viewed on the same level as like the original trilogy.
not season 1.
I like the Mandalorian, but there's
you watch
levels to
season
this.
2?
I did, no, I haven't seen season 2. Is it?
Then you don't even know what I'm talking about.
So believe it or not, I was actually genuinely curious about this, okay? Because
Season 2 is the best thing since the trilogy.
Is it really?
Very close.
Okay, I'll watch it. Yeah, I mean, I always laugh at how they just thought to create Baby Yoda, and like just by doing that, they were able to revitalize this entire franchise, just making a Baby Yoda. Like, what a genius marketing move there! Like, just get like half the percentage of the world watching because like babies. So genius, such a marketing genius. But okay, so what you have is that.
I like how you're from Demons.
Yeah, it's like such a marketing genius. Just like make Yoda into a baby, that'll get him. And everyone's like, oh my god. But anyway, so I was curious because I study classics a lot. Okay, like I sit there studying like a crazy person. Anything classic, I watch the Muhammad Ali fights. I listen to like the most classic Tupac, classic NWA, classic Biggie, classic rock albums, classic electronic albums, classic movies. Like I don't just watch the latest drivel to come out because I don't want to waste my time. I go to classic places. My goal is to make classic content, right? A lot of my video blogs are 100 hours of editing, preparation time, this, that, the other thing. So basically what I do is I study this. So I was curious about the old Star Wars and the new Star Wars. And I literally, I do this with public speaking too. I'll take public speakers and I put them side by side in my computer and I watch them for a minute and then I watch them for a minute. And I do this for hours, just watching both again and again and again to see the differences. And then I put my own stuff beside it and then I see the differences. So I've done this for many, many years. I used to do it with a lot of your videos that you'd send, some of your stuff from the day, and just like take yours and then take mine. And I'd compare the two. I did this with light level autism because I'm trying to understand social skills, right? So that was kind of what I had to resort to. So basically what I would do is I'd watch the old Star Wars and the new Star Wars, and if you're energetically sensitive, you can feel raw, present energy coming out of this like cheesy, puppet-driven 1979, 1981, whatever Star Wars. So even though it's done with like these puppets, doesn't look 10% as good as the newer Star Wars. There's raw, present energy coming out of it, almost like a Godfather film, like these classic films. Versus the new ones is like Disney wants to spend money, to get their ideology out there. Like what was that? The Last Jedi or whatever, just this ideology pump. It was outrageous. I couldn't believe my eyes. I just couldn't believe it had come to that. Like we know we're not in Kansas anymore when you see Star Wars, ridden with ideological propaganda in it. That was beyond my brain blowing up. But then in addition, I didn't even believe it at first. I'm like, is this really becoming a propaganda tool? I couldn't believe it. But then, I'm sure George Lucas would be shocked. But in addition to that, it didn't have that present energy anymore. It didn't. If you're energetically sensitive, you can look at the two Star Wars movies, and even though the old one, it's not as though Mark Hamill was winning an Oscar here, guys. Right? Like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher were not Oscar winners. Harrison Ford's, he's a G. But it was that there was a present energy in it that the new ones just don't have. And then they try to replicate that with special effects and so on and so forth, and they can't do it. And now all of a sudden, the follow-up trilogy recently has just been panned.
Terrible.
Just panned. And understanding that, you can actually look at something and like go look at Muhammad Ali Go look at, and again, Tupac had a lot of dark stuff running him, but go look at Tupac, go look at Eazy-E, go look at Muhammad Ali. Like, look at these classical people. Even Tony Robbins, like, a lot of people, you got to remember, like, beneath that kind of like, hey, guys, it's Tony Robbins. Like, that dude is a gangster. You got to understand, like, real gangsters, they're not just necessarily bragging about it. The real gangsters are like, hey, how's it going? Because behind that mask, they're like, I'm a G. Tony Robbins, people don't talk about it. This guy is a G. This guy is a gangster. You don't go traveling the world like that, program after program after program. Like a guy like Tom Brady, for example, that dude, he's like, hey guys, I don't like to talk about myself. Oh, Bill Belichick, I'm so lucky. He's a nice guy. I wanted you to say hi to my mom. Beneath the surface, that guy's like, I will win. I will destroy you all. I am the best. I will win a Super Bowl at 43. Take that, Mahomes. Like, like the things that, like, because he basically just views the media as a troublemaker. He's an expert in the art of saying nothing. He just views the media. No, I don't need your stupid attention. I'm just gonna win and stunt in all of your faces so bad. I'm 43 and I'm just gonna dominate all of you. But you'll never think, like, you look at Tom Brady, he's like, hey guys. You look at Tony, he's like, hey everybody, woo, I'm Tony, right? Real G's, they literally can't even be bothered to tell you what they're thinking, right? And then, of course, you're watching this as like a passive viewer. You're like, he seems nice. I guess maybe I'm kind of nice. I'll be nice like that. And I'm going to be like the next Tony or Tom Brady, right? It's like beneath the surface, like, you want to know the truth? The truth is written and it is accessible. It's in a book called Relentless by Timothy S. Grover. And he talks about Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade and Michael Jordan. Or go watch the documentary Michael Jordan, the 10-part documentary, whatever that was, Last Dance. And you'll see the real truth behind that. So, behind that friendly front, it's like there's some real G's behind this.
The Jordan we saw in Space Jam is that
Actually,
the
wish
real
I could remember it in Space Jam. I'm looking forward to seeing the second one. But yeah, so just understand that. Now, bring it back, because I've gone a little bit off topic. We're doing a little bit more podcast style here today, okay?
We want more Star Wars
So
talk,
we'll get back in it. Okay.
More Star Wars.
Okay. Raw, present energy versus dark, demonic energy. And I've seen it in other people. I've seen it in myself, seen it in others, had some really crazy experiences. And do you want to maybe go a little bit more into some of these, like for example, you almost walked in the ocean? We're getting a little crazy. It's hard to think back and remember this now because we're kind of just chilling. We're enjoying life. It's hard to think back, like being in those shoes, but I know there's people watching this that may feel that way now.
Yeah. Well, we going from Star Wars to that. So yeah, no, for me it was, again, back in 2015. Okay, so I went through this scandal, and if you look at it through this lens
You were mentioned on a few blogs.
It was kind of mentioned in every single news outlet ever made in the world, everywhere. No big deal. But no, for me it was leading up to that. That desire demon took over, right? And at first it's nice, like, oh, just go get that, the validation. If we view the whole event through that lens of, again, angels and demons. But then it's like more. And the more you get, the more powerful it becomes, the more it takes over. And it's going to slowly start leading you astray. Okay, and I'm sure you've all experienced this too, where you start off and it's actually not the desire demon. Like, it could be a pure intention, but then it takes over. Okay, the way I explain it in what I call my levels of transformation is you have courage, then I put desire, and then I put purpose. Because usually in courage, you'll have this glimpse of inspiration, something that's authentic to you, something you want to accomplish, something you want to achieve, a path you want to take. And then as you start going down that path, the ego, the desire takes over and starts leading you astray. And that's what happened for me, right? And I started seeking more validation, and it was to the point where I literally had the validation too, minus, despite so much self-sabotage, I actually got it, and it wasn't enough, and I just kept pushing and pushing until everything just popped. And I went through that scandal, and I went from having all that validation to going a 180 and literally having, the most disapproval ever, right? If you think of like most human beings, like I'm up there in the top human beings who got
ranked as Time Magazine's world's most hated man. And by the way, to be fair, I think they've used that for clickbait more than once. They go back to the well, but nonetheless, that was your turn. And a big thing there too is that notice the commonality between our friend who made the 300,000 and then he goes to pay the bill. One of the things about our very good friend that was sort of a prelude to what we saw happen to him was that he really, really likes physical pleasure. And he was very, very disconnected from present energy, very disconnected from spirit, and he's seeking himself in the physical, whether that's validation, whether that's physical sensations. And ironically, many of these celebrities can cut themselves off from presence when they get too much success. So ironically, a lot of success can actually make it hard to get present. I think Eckhart Tolle says you could be present in a jail cell or you could be present in a private plane, but it's actually easier in a jail cell. Okay, let that land for a minute. So you were kind of like the validation version of a private plane. Our good buddy was the physical pleasure version of the private plane, which then cuts you off from spirit and bang, it gets you.
And going from being so hooked on validation to getting so much, say, disapproval, if you care that much about approval, disapproval hits you just as much in the opposite way, and it just dragged me down. Like, that destroyed me, and of course there was way more, right, from, not to go into all the details, but again, everything was crumbling, everything was getting taken away, all the stuff I was trying to find myself in was being robbed, right? Like who I was, who I thought I was, everything I was like, this is me, was being robbed, and it just started dragging me down. And this is key, right? When the demons take over, it'll be subtle at first, but eventually they'll drag you down, okay? All the way down to the point where there's that instance, it was in Miami. And it's interesting, this was after a lot of the chaos. Like, we were coming out of it, and I felt like during that chaos, interestingly enough, I was just kind of stuffing it down, just trying to survive, and after, it just really hit me. And there was a point where I was just looking at the ocean, it was like, just walk out into the ocean, just end it. And I almost did. And fortunately, and I keep saying fortunately, I had that moment where I just snapped out of it. Okay, you have the choice. It either drags you down or you let go. And that's what gave me that glimpse of, whoa, that's a Tory experience, whatever you want to call it, where I was like, this is actually...
Because it's like taking a rubber ball and you're bouncing it on the ground, and when you bounce it that hard on the ground, it shoots up, or it's like a pendulum, you're pulling it way back, and then it goes... So if you're actually at home right now in a lot of pain, maybe it could be building up to something.
Yeah.
Something positive, I mean.
But unfortunately, and this is what's crazy, and I did so much research into this after, for the most part, people who go through something like that, they do get dragged down. They just can't let go. It drags them all the way down, and they end it. So I was very fortunate to just, at the last minute, just let go of all that, let go, interesting enough, of that demon spirit, and I had that glimpse of what I was actually after the entire time, what I was trying to find in that validation. And it wasn't like this magic fix, right? After a few days, there's still a lot buried in the subconscious that then took over, and it's a process, and this is what basically was at the cause of the birth of transformation mastery, which is what I teach.
Again, if you're just logging on here, go to Julien's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Julien himself, Julien himself. Yeah. Julien himself. Follow, press subscribe, but also press notification and press all, because we're going to go way, way, way deeper on this. There's a lot of crazy applications to it. Also, go to Instagram.com/Julien himself, or just go to your Instagram app, Julien himself. We'll do a little after party with a bit of split screen Q&A on here after. Go follow Julien now on Instagram. You'll get a drip feed. Look, there's a lot of dumb crap you're watching. I have no doubt. I watch some dumb crap too on occasion. This is something that is actually going to change your life and highly entertaining. Go follow Julien on his channel now, and follow Julien on Instagram now, and click notification all. You will be very, very, I promise you, I'm in a ton of Julien's videos. You are gonna get so much value, so much good stuff coming. I'll see you soon on there, okay? Just go log on, just jump on there now and subscribe now. We're gonna go way, way deeper on this. You're gonna be thanking me later. You're like, I remember you yelled at me to subscribe. Thank you, okay? Go do it now. You're gonna feel an instant rush of doing something good for yourself as soon as you do it. Just click on there now, Julien himself, type in Julien himself in a different window, click subscribe and notification on YouTube now, then go to Instagram, Julien himself Instagram, and click follow and notification. Now, you'll feel really good when you do this. You're gonna get your life changed when you do this completely for free.
By the way, I think, Ibrahim, are you moderating some of the comments? There's one guy named Air who's posting the craziest thing. Air, or is it Alir? There might be a demon in you.
I mean, there's no such thing.
I gotta say, there might be a demon. But anyway, for me, that's the experience that gave me that. And from there, even looking back, I'm like, whoa, it's like waking up from this nightmare. And through coaching people after the fact too, so common. Like a huge portion of my clients are actually entrepreneurs or people who have achieved a certain amount of success, and they feel that pull, right? It's like, it's never enough, and it's just taking over. But instead of waiting for that moment where it just collapses, they start doing the work, and looking back, they're like, wow, it's like night and day. It's like waking up once more versus this thing that's becoming you, okay? And once more, this sounds very out there, but if you just audit your body, how you feel, it's like, how much is it really me versus things that took over? This is also, by the way, the reason why people say, my childhood, that was when I was the happiest, my childhood, which, how sad is that, right? If your childhood is when you were the happiness, like, what have you been doing, right? Like, why do they say that though? Because not everything was taken over then, right? That's you're born, sure, there's the conditioning and so on and so forth, but there's still that freedom, you can let go. There's, the angels coming through, and then slowly the parasites come on, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And here we're taking the examples too, where it's just like you go very fast down or up, but also there's the subtle poison drip where some people, it never shoots up into like the angels taking over. It never gets super intense with the demons taking over, but it's a subtle demon that just keeps them stuck and stuck and stuck and stuck. And eventually on their deathbed, they're like, oh. And you could even argue that's worse, right? This subtle, you could say just cut. If you think of like, to get dark, like you could either chop your arm off, like chop, and it's like dramatic and crazy, or just slowly over the years. And that's unfortunately most people. And it's so subtle, you can't even realize it. It sneaks up on you, and only on their deathbed, they look back and realize it. And this is why the majority of people on their deathbed have regrets, where if you're on your deathbed, you made it that far, and you have regrets on things that are in your control. I wish I would allow myself to be happier, take more opportunities, jump at more risks, right? Play to win, not play so small. Then you messed up, because that's in your control. What have you been doing? That's called screwing up life. Okay. But anyway, that was really my experience. There is a video too, by the way, on this channel. If you go to it and you search for Hell Realm, you can do Julien Owen Hell Realm. There's a long video where I explain the exact subtleties and changes of going through that experience in those dark times. So definitely check it out on the channel, but linking it to demons and angels, this is how it really plays together. And again, that's the label you could choose to have on it. My take, and this is why I'd give a few answers, is you could view it entity kind of out there, but really it's things you've disowned, suppressed, past trauma, the way you've been conditioned, negative programming, and letting go, diving into that, especially the subconscious, game changer.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make millions of dollars, you want to get better socially or whatever, and you're thinking that you're going to do this without doing that kind of work on yourself. I think you're really, really handicapping yourself. And that's why we put such a joint effort into getting transformation mastery to a very, very high level. If you want to get mentoring with Julien, literally you could go to JulienMentoring.com and literally join his mentoring program on this. But definitely whatever you could join that today and start interacting with Julien today, get held accountable, have a mastermind group, all amazing stuff on JulienMentoring.com. But no matter what you do, make sure that you go on Julien Himself YouTube channel. Absolutely do that. That's just a no-brainer. It's completely for free. Now, what I'm going to say, I'm going to throw some wrinkles in the plot line here. I have seen people who straight up look like they needed an exorcism, like from the movie The Exorcist. Like I have seen people talking, like not exactly speaking in tongues, but beyond weird. I've seen them saying things like, I'm gonna hurt them, and like things like that, attacking themselves physically, psychologically. I've also watched friends, like good friends of mine, become incredibly paranoid, beyond negative, and unrecognizable shells of their former selves. And these are people I've been deeply involved with that I love, and just watching them just go down. And all that you can do is just go, all right. Some of them get hooked on drugs, some of them with drinking. I find that, like, when you guys see me here saying things like, don't do drugs, like, I'm like, don't do that, right? I'm like, don't even drink. People like, have a drink on. I'm like, I really don't think you want to do that. And you have the dramatic cases of this where By the end of it, they're just unrecognizable shells of their former selves. But then there's even the kind of the less evident cases where they're just not really able to be their full self anymore, and that kind of sucks too. So I'm going to ask you guys right now, I'm going to ask you all right now, do you believe that, and I'm going to give a lot more information, are you more on the side of things like schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, psychopathy, sociopathy, general negativity, or even these things that appear like demonic possessions? Do you view that more in a psychology standpoint? It's more brain neurotransmitters and perspectives and things like that. Do you believe it is psychological, or do you believe it's demonic? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'm on the fence. I'm about 70% think it's a freaking demon at this point, but 30% of me, I'm not sure. So tell me. I'm gonna give you more information, but I want to hear what you all think. Okay, I want to hear. Hold this for a second. I want to hear what you think first. I'm gonna put on a little thing here. I want to hear what you think first. I'm letting people know that I'm live. I'll put we are live on RC Tyler YouTube now. Okay, so what do you guys think it is?
Demonic,
you guys think it's
both,
demonic?
psychology,
here on Instagram, you guys
aliens.
It could be aliens. Okay, and I'm gonna go deeper, but before I even go deeper, I want you to.
And by the way, like what you just said, like the I'm gonna kill, like that, sure, right? If someone's in that state a lot, that's the far extreme. But I've also seen it where people just get triggered and freak out and they say stuff like that. Like, here's an example you might have seen, right, when things were still open. Someone can't get into a fancy club or venue, and they just snap and scream and go nuts. And again, usually there's alcohol involved, which once more opens the floodgates for this to take over. And they'll say things like that, like, I'm gonna kill you, and just keep looping and looping and look psycho in it. And that person, again, like, you're like, whoa.
Remember your video in San Diego where this dude knocks the other guy out in the background? And you guys remember that classic video of Julien's where he opens and you just see a dude just getting dropped in San Diego?
It's a video where I'm like, hey, this is Julien. I'm here in San Diego. And in the background, you just see someone walk up and bam, like that. Yeah.
San Diego has a lot of fights. And I've done a lot of live events out there, live, hitting the real life situations. A lot of fights. I remember one time outside of this, if you live in San Diego, there's this one really popular late night restaurant. And I watched these guys start to fight. And it became this full on almost bar fight. And it literally looked like a demonic entity just took over all of them. And it was 20 people throwing down on each other. One of the most psycho things I've ever seen.
I mean, it's crazy, but here's another interesting perspective to sink into. And again, who knows whether this is true or not, but one of the go-to ways, the number one go-to way really, that people use to try to exorcise the demon. Let's just say that demon takes over. You could say is also the demon that plays into it, but we think that we can get rid of it by expressing it. And this is why when you're really mad, you're like, if I just punch the wall, and you do all these destructive things trying to get rid of it, but you don't realize it actually makes it stronger. And if people, little side note, could just learn how to let go instead, the change, right? Remember this, next time it takes over, if you can just remember this, if expressing it actually made things better, every single person in traffic honking and yelling at people who cut them off would be enlightened. It doesn't work. It makes it worse. But that could be one of the cause of perhaps a lot of violence is they're actually trying to get rid of this demon by expressing it, not seeing that it actually makes it worse, and it's the demon telling it to do it.
Yeah, I used to tell a buddy of mine that, what my opinion was, and he would sort of indulge me. And I told him about this regularly, and I told him about a lot of personal stuff that's pretty bad stuff. And finally one night, he met someone who was like this, full-on demonic. And by the way, this person's sibling it turned out that this person's sibling had committed suicide about a month earlier. And really crazy. And he 100% believed what I was saying after he saw this. I mean, terrifying stuff, much like out of a movie where the person looks like they need an exorcism. And it gets difficult to just sort of, someone says, I'm Demon Salvatore, are you back in the day? So it gets difficult to sort of wipe this stuff away when people who start speaking in weird syllables and screaming and crying and shrieking, and they just become this and then wither away and are just completely and utterly destroyed. And then likewise, even just like old school friends of ours that we love to death just become so negative and such shells of their former selves. It just gets really weird. I personally wouldn't touch booze, wouldn't touch drugs, zero interest. I want to touch nothing that has to do with any of this stuff. I just want to take my little herbs. Jacob Morris says he's sold on transformation mastery, right? Yeah, I just want to take my little reishi mushroom, my little ginseng, things that are uplifting. I watch my little Eckhart Tolle. I'm good. Because the big reason that I get really, really scared, I don't want to say scared, because I feel like when you're scared, you're in reaction to it. But the reason why I have a healthy respect that I will not let that in my way of thinking is that I believe that when you break your arm, your brain says, my arm is broken. When you break your leg, your brain says, my leg is broken. But when you break your brain, there's no conscious brain there that fully recognizes you've broken your brain.
Did he come back?
I know, Ali, I love you, bro. You got great comments, but you can't just blow up the chat that much.
Which, by the way, that's...
We're trying to really interact here.
No, but notice, that's the same person who came back, okay? So he was removed because there was a demon, came back with another username to still keep doing it. Now, really ask yourself here, read through some of Ali's little comments.
And ironically, he thinks he's being uplifting.
Yeah, but even notice, like, what type of person does that? No, really let it land. And I know it's harsh, but this is a great example. Like, think about it, okay? Say you're a quote-unquote normal person. What type of person is there on YouTube? Copy pasting like these crazy comments. It's like fornicators and something and like with like chapters of what the Bible or something. It's just like nonstop spamming the comments for a long period of time, gets kicked off, comes back under another account. Let me create another account. Let's go back.
And probably thinks that like we're afraid of, like, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't handle the truth about the fornicator.
No. Here's the thing. Is that possible that a quote unquote human could do it? Like, would you ever do that? Like, compulsively, like, post. That's a demon, hey? That's a demon. That's not a normal thing to do, right? Like, I don't know the guy who with his mom, yeah, maybe. But no, that's not normal. Like, and you got to realize, like, how would he even function in his day-to-day life like that? Like, is he just walking around like, fornicator, like, what? Okay. Another good example.
Yeah, and much love, bro. We love you, man. Like, we're not, like, we're trying to read the comments to engage with everybody here. And if it's blowed up, we can't make it good for everybody. Much love, man. But we're just trying to be real here, I guess what you'd say. I don't know, whatever you'd call it.
I do predict, bets on it, he shall return.
Yeah, it
shall return.
I've literally seen people that either look completely demonically possessed, like, imagine that someone just comes in here and they're just like, talking complete crazy, shrieking, going nuts, and they just permanently like that. Super crazy. I've also seen friends of mine that have dramatic personality changes. And here's the other thing. At some point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple days and I'm going to write out this whole thing in detail. Okay, in vivid detail. Here are the 100 things that I look at in someone in a negative state. Here's 100 things that I look at in a positive state. Here's what I think draws those negative entities onto you. Here's what I think releases those negative entities off of you. Here is how I will try to, quote, exorcise a demon in somebody when I'm talking to them, and so on and so forth. So
do you want to mention one of the top tells, the pupil? That's a huge...
Yeah, so basically the really, really obvious one, guys, is that when somebody is in a low vibration state or a very high vibration state, their eye contact is very, very steady and strong. But what happens is somewhere in the middle, they tend to flinch. The reason why is because, in my view, and I'm being subjective here, in the middle, their soul is in flux, and in the bottom, they're just fully possessed by low vibration energy, and it's actually fueling them. And at the top, they're also fully possessed by high vibration energy, and it's fueling them. And so what I've seen is that in friends of mine, they can get this very shark-eyed look, and their pupils turn, it's not full black like a shark, but the pupil itself has a blackness like a shark. And likewise, but it's a very hardened look. Likewise, at the top, their pupils are also remarkably steady, but it is a softer look. And what I see is that I've seen friends of mine that try to become more positive. They're trying to become more positive, trying to become more positive, trying to become more positive, and they actually look less confident. Like as they're becoming more positive, they actually seem a little bit less confident because it's as if they're kind of bouncing around between the two. And what happens is that they struggle to fully become positive, so then they just give in to the negativity and they get really confident. Like they become more confident than I've ever seen. It's really psycho. And they're so confident. They actually become smarter. They start getting better results. They start making more money. And then usually they have some horrifying downfall. They get very, very win-lose. They get very hardened, very win-lose, and eventually they pay the bill. And when they pay that bill, it is a downfall of epic proportions. Now, going a little bit deeper, I've also had the interesting experience of meeting a lot of high-level people. I've coached many of the famous billionaires. I've coached many of the high-level people in Hollywood. I've coached many celebrities, movie stars, actors. These are people that come to me privately behind the scenes. And some of these people are in Freemasonry. They're in things like what you'd call Illuminati or whatever you'd call it. It's not, they don't call themselves the Illuminati. But you're seeing basically what you call these, quote, elites. And I see what they believe, and I see what they think is helping them, and damn, it is disgusting. And it is so sad. One of my ultra-rich billionaire liberal elite friends just died recently. Very, very sad. You probably know who it is. You might have seen us doing stuff with him. This guy's a billionaire, very famous. Come to a lot of our events, died recently. You probably know who I'm referring to. You know, a certain event we do yearly he'd come to see. And basically, we watched his downfall. I remember thinking, oh, this guy's winning, and he's just got billions of dollars, and this looks really cool. And I'm looking at him going, you know, I love this guy to death. I'd do anything for this guy. He's such an inspiration. Damn, this guy's so cool. But this guy's going off the rails. And another thing that's a little bit weird that I don't like talking a lot about is that I've been able to predict 5 or 6 deaths in the past 2 years. Like, literally, I'm like, that person's gonna die. And I can see their trajectory. I see it coming, and it's very, very sad. And as I'm seeing it coming, you just see the direction that it's going. And unfortunately, he was one of the people that I thought maybe this guy's gonna die. And it's really sad what I saw. And there's not really a lot that I can say to stop it. There's just really nothing. I've tried some of these people that are on that hardcore of a downfall. I have tried to bring them in my seminars, and everybody's there is having these crazy, crazy transformations, and it's like it's just going over these guys' heads. There's nothing to be done about it. Sometimes I even have video footage of this stuff where like you'll see this like room of transformation, and everybody's like having these like beautiful, deep, powerful experiences, and then you'll see that person that I'm like the kind of people I'm referring to, and they're just like, it's like glazed over. They're just waiting for it to end. They think it sucks.
Do you think, so curveball for you, do you think there's that point where they are just completely too far gone and nothing you can do?
Yes, I think I think there's 3 or 4 people that we work with that are clearly so far gone. It is an empty wall. They're completely possessed. And this is why I say that you've got to be very, very careful. This is why I get a little bit weird on the booze and drugs thing. And I completely understand the psychedelic is categorically different from a drug. It's not like, it's not like you're getting high off of it, so to speak. I get that. I watch Joe Rogan too, guys. Yeah, I watch Joe Rogan too. I've heard this. And I got friends that are super into it. Probably 80% of my friends are into it. Almost like, frankly, all the cool kids are doing psychedelics these days. It just sort of is what it is. And it's unfortunate. A lot of our friends go to Burning Man, et cetera, et cetera. So I see all this stuff very, very close. And the jury's out for me because I haven't done it. I don't have a firm experience on it. I do have friends that have done it that I think look pretty high vibration. Some good friends of ours look pretty awesome. Perhaps help them. I think it's pretty cool. Clearly, they speak well of it, and it is helping them. But I also see a lot of friends that I think it's really hurting them, and they get addicted on it, and they do it again and again and again. They disconnect from reality. And I've also seen it where friends of ours who become really negative, they think they're becoming more positive. They think they're becoming high vibration with it.
You know, an interesting take, too? You could maybe argue that, okay, if we go back to the demon angel, if the demon's there and you do it, it might be bad. If the angel's there and you do it, it might be better. That might be the determining factor.
Yeah, it could be. I honestly have no idea. I'm chill. I'm good. I've had a lot of very sober psychedelic experiences, probably more than I even ever bargained for. And I feel like every year I'm getting more creative. I'm channeling better. Still haven't been sick in a decade. What's up with that? Like, what the heck is up with that? And I don't know if I'm ever going to get sick again. Voice is booming louder every year. I have more energy every year. I'm more creative every year. I feel like things are going well. So I just kind of want to keep that going. That's what we're here trying to teach you guys. We're trying to teach this to you to get you into this kind of upward spiral. We're trying to show you something. And I just avoid talking on the psychedelics things because all my friends do them, and I'm gonna have 50 of my friends call me you gotta do it, and then don't say that. And I'm just look, I love you, man. We can just agree to disagree. And also, I'm not 100% sure. Mike's haven't done it, but here's why. Because end of the day, the people that I've seen, once they go sideways, don't come back. And this is what people don't get, is that I think that you can die before you die. When you look at the certain friends of ours that I'm referring to, is that those people who we came up with, are is that person still alive? Is that form of consciousness still there? Is it in the ether somewhere? It's almost like when you do certain things, it's like you have the home that is your mind, and it's like you rented it out in an Airbnb weekend, and then some other person came in the building, came in your home, and they're not giving you back the key. And now they're inhabiting the rental house of your body, and your soul's off somewhere else or something like that. And these guys, they don't come back. And it gets embarrassing because some of these are friends of ours, and people are what happened to them? And we're well, a demon got them, and then you look crazy. What are you gonna say? So, there's just nothing to be said about it. So you just grit your teeth and you're hey, wish them the best. And because you don't want to cause them any more pain, they're clearly struggling. And even if they may look like they're not, because there's something running them, boosting them up, but you're going to see the downfall. So I've seen that. And I think what we'll do is that at some point, I'd say this. We never want you to believe something just because we said it. So whatever we said here, don't worry what we said. But here's what we're going to do. At some point, we got to just get out, the same way we would get out the real life camera back in the day. We got to do this in a sensitive way and with permission, but somehow, some way, we've got to break out the cameras and we've got to find some way to show the kind of people who we're talking about, but in a way that doesn't do them dirty and doesn't offend them. That's kind of the tricky part here, because if we weren't afraid of offending somebody, honestly, we'd just break out the cameras now, and we literally would just break out the cameras and show the kind of people that we're talking about and say, look at this, here's what's running them, look, notice what they're doing here.
Every little nuance.
Yeah, every little nuance.
Everything, yeah.
We'd show you everything. But the problem is, I don't want to do someone dirty, because we've had people do us dirty with media and things like that, where they're oh, we're here to help you. And it's no, you're not. You're not here to help at all. So I don't want to do that to someone else. They call that gotcha journalism. So we're kind of trying to figure out some kind of way to do this. There's some way. There is a way. We got to be creative. We got to think outside the paradigm of how we're currently thinking. But there is some way to show the people we're talking about without just being total jerks and doing them dirty like that. So there is some way to do it. If you were with us in person, we could be look at this, and you'd see it within 2 seconds. So we will at some point show this stuff. And what we'll also do is we'll break it down in fine comb detail, specifically what we're seeing, and specifically what you can look for in others, and specifically what you can look for in yourself. This to me is something that I'm crazy passionate about, especially with people very close to me, very, very close to me, what's happened to them. And I want to show this. I want to expose this, and I've got a lot more to say on this. I mean, we've covered this at 1% or less, probably less. Yeah, 100% less of what we've seen. And it's a frustrating topic because I have so much to say on this in a show, but I just feel like you're building a business on something that you've empirically verified, and now you're going off on this weird tangent about these speculative areas. You're killing your credibility. You're not even 100% sure yourself. But what you can say for sure, and this is the part that is for sure, is that whether it's a demon or a psychological disorder of some kind, the model still works. So whether or not it is a supernatural entity running the person, or if it is simply a psychological thing, the model still works either way. Someone's demon infield. That's kind of what we're saying. So the model still works either way. And Luke, who's probably one of the most highly skeptical people ever, Luke is crazy skeptical on that stuff. I showed him in detail how you and I see it, and he's completely bought in, and he's basically that's either true, or what is perhaps more important is that the model works. Yep. So whether that is the cause or not, the end outcome is the same if you approach it with that way. So that's what's kind of cool is that Julie and I are not 100% sure if it's the biological or the spiritual, but what we do know is what works and what gets results. And again, if you just logged on here, go to Julien's YouTube channel, JulienHimself.com, subscribe over there, and press notification. But also, we're going to go on Instagram after this for an Instagram after party on Julien's Instagram, Instagram.com/JulienHimself. Just get the Instagram app and follow Julien and click all the notifications because you're going to get drip fed this kind of content. So what we speculate on is the source of the challenge. What we know empirically is methods to get better. So whatever it is that's causing it, we can speculate on that. But the end outcome that is a very, very uplifting, helpful, positive, and transformational outcome, that we know for sure. A couple other nuggets, if you want to go a little, if you're interested in this topic. One is study borderline personality disorder. You might have dated a BPD person. There's a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells, and there's another book called I Hate You, Don't Leave. That will definitely give you a lot of insight into this, but they look at it actually through the psychological. But as you're reading it, you can just think about this expanded perspective. So that's one area that you can do some further research. Also, get out there and meet a lot of new people, and you might date a borderline. That's going to be the biggest insight. Okay, anybody who's dated a borderline, you're going to see that. Now, in addition, I've also dated someone who was very, very, their previous partner was very, very high up in the certain organizations that are very hidden. So this person was very attractive, and their previous partner was very, very, very high up in those, you know, you might have seen the movie Eyes Wide Shut, and they're in that world, okay? It was by Stanley Kubrick. So this person wouldn't tell me everything. I had to really pry it out. I mean, like, it was not easy for me to get this out of them. I had to really, really, really pry it out. But I saw some really whack stuff in this. I mean, you can ask me later if you want. But yeah, like, so I saw something, like, of course, leave it to me to somehow, you know, I can't just date the normal person, right? Like, it's got to be like some, you know. So basically, this person was viewed in a very, very high elevation in the spiritual community. And on the surface looks like a goddess, okay? Like just a freaking goddess. And really, really, somebody who I was really excited to get to know better, because it was somebody who I really would have actually wanted to get to know either way, like just for my own enjoyment to get to know them. And I had value being friends with this person. But then, of course, to take that to even another level, that was kind of cool too. And I mean, we would literally be left in my room for like 5-6 hours at a time. And it was really intense. Like, it was like, we'd be in there and like this person, like the level of intimacy was like hours and hours and hours. Like, you might as well have just done like the most hardcore drugs you've done in your life. Like, it was like being on frickin' heaven for hours. Like, it wouldn't end. I wouldn't finish. It just kept going. I've had like stuff like this, but this would just, it just wouldn't stop. I've talked to this person since then and been like, what the heck were we doing? Like, this was crazy. Like, how did we do this? It was totally, totally crazy. And it was highly memorable. So, very, very memorable. We definitely took it to the next level. You know, I try to keep it like in the 20, 30 minute range at this point, because I've like burned down half my life doing this. So anyway, very, very spiritual person, very high up in the spiritual community, very attractive. And so somebody who I would want to meet anyway, and you know, the little kid in me is like, well, maybe we could kind of, you know, like could break out a little bit of the old school stuff and we could kind of have the connection go deeper. So I did that. So very flattered that I did that. Now I find out that this person, their ex is really, really high up in these communities, and they show me all this evidence of this, and I'm always, and they don't want to tell me anything, right? Like I can't barely get a word out of it, but I know what's happened, and I can clearly see that something is very, very wrong. Now, in the book, in these higher level little societies, one of the books that they study is called the Kabbalion, and the Kabbalion, and this is why I told you to read it at this time, basically talks about a lot of energetic laws.
Which
now,
there's a review video on
Julien himself. So I think I was the one that had recommended the book to you. You recommend a lot of books to me.
Yep.
And I was recommending it to you this time because I was having this experience. So basically at these higher levels, they read the Kabbalion. And there's a decent possibility that I'm getting this wrong. So again, a lot of what I'm going to teach you is things that I know for sure. And this is something that I might be kind of getting wrong. But basically what I saw in the Kabbalion was that they explained that when you tap into low vibration energy, you're initiating a pendulum. And you're going to get all this good stuff, but then the pendulum is going to swing back, and there's a payback. And on average, they'll say the ratio is like around, as a round number, 10 to 1. So whatever you got on the front end, it's like, say that you go do crack cocaine right now. You do crack cocaine, you're going to get incredible pleasure, but the pain is going to be about 10 times worse later. And the problem is, if you keep doing crack cocaine or heroin, you're running up this debt that is going to be really, really hard to pay back. It's incredibly sad. It kills a lot of people too. It's super sad. So in the same way, if you tap into low vibration energy to motivate you, you are likely going to have an incredible payback. So someone who we work with closely that we know was carrying satanic levels of low vibration energy, we've seen them just the densest energy you've seen in your life. And recently, this person has had the last 2 years of a living hell. Just been in a living hell. And even turned to psychedelics to try to cure that too, and actually gone even further down in many ways. Yep. So, and like trapped in a living hell. So what the people in these so-called high societies think, which I think is just a low, disgusting society, but they think in their mind is that by doing certain rituals that they learn in these creepy societies, that they can actually avoid the pendulum from coming back. And so as in effect, they can initiate low vibration energy, use it to do all this bad stuff, and that they can dodge it on the way back. Now this also, and this is what they're doing, and yet this person who I was with, clearly on the outside, it was like a candy, outside, pure high vibration energy candy, which is then opening you up. And that's what that 5-hour sessions was, opens you way up and just pours in the low vibration energy, just pours it in. And this is what we see even in borderline personality disorder. They do what's called love bombing. And the love bombing is to open up your energetic defense, and then they dump you with piles of low vibration energy. And this is really, really sketchy stuff. I had it done on me, and I spent about 2 years having been opened wide open, and boom, had that stuff poured into me. And it was the craziest, most insane thing I've ever seen. And I had to learn to cope with that. And weirdly, by the way, and this is more random side tangents, I randomly got really, really into sauna at that time, and you randomly got really, really into hot yoga at that time. So I think what happens is that in the same vein as releasing, you want to just keep releasing in every way possible. This is why I'm obsessed with sauna. Like, I really believe that you need, like, and again, all this stuff that I teach that's empirically validated and poked at, these are things I don't know for sure. I speculate, I'm just speculating. I'm just guessing here, guys, okay? So don't hold me to this. Like, don't be like, you said this. Like, I don't know, but I strongly speculate that sauna releases low vibration energy. I think it lets it out. I felt an instinct. I started going to the Russian banya 4 or 5 days a week, maybe more. And I saw you during your whole thing. You're like, hot yoga, you gotta come to hot yoga, hot yoga, hot yoga, hot yoga. Yep. I'm really into hot. Like, when is Julien Blanc into hot yoga? Like, I'm sorry. Like, okay, what's with the hot yoga?
4 times a week, like, yeah, nonstop.
I think it's honestly instinctive. And actually, another ex of mine who's a great person, but also carried a huge amount of low vibration energy because she was a coke addict, 7-time Playboy Playmate, but a coke addict. Wonderful girl. She talks openly about it. She actually sobered up. Amazing girl. And she actually got really, really into hot yoga. So funny enough, around the same time. So there could be something to that. I've also noticed people who struggle to release, as you teach releasing, those same people, I've seen, and again, I can't prove this, it's not like a cross double-blind study, but I've observed just in a limited anecdotal evidence of maybe like a couple hundred people, maybe 50, 100, whatever. I'm not quite sure what. People that struggle to release trauma and that stuff, you bring them to the Russian banya or you bring them to sauna, and they struggle to sweat. They can't sweat. And me, I've noticed it where if I'm holding on, I'm like, ugh, like I can feel I'm just stuffing. I go to the sauna and I sit in there and I'm boiling hot and I don't sweat. I just a little bit of sweat.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's actually why I was pestering you to the sauna, because what I've seen is that you want to be always releasing. Mm-hmm. It like always shoot, just shooting it out. So you can actually, if the saunas are not open right now because of lockdown, you can actually order an infrared sauna. You go to infraredsauna.com, company called Clearlight. I have a Clearlight sauna actually. Mine's a bit older. I should probably update it, but it still works amazing. I have like a $7,000 sauna. But you could also even get them on Amazon. Try to get one that doesn't have the EMF, the high EMF. I don't even know if the EMF does anything bad, but again, speculative. This is a video about a lot of speculation. Some people speculate that if you get one with too much an EMF thing going in it, that even though you're detoxing, you're like shooting yourself electricity because all that electricity to feed the sauna. But you can get it would be high EMF, but you can get some infrared saunas that are like $200 in a little tent. So you got no excuse. I would still do it even with that high EMF. I'd probably go for more like a $500 or $600 one that would have a bit lower EMF. Put the little tent. Some of these are cool, man. Like you can your head's out of them and you can put your little hands out. You can read a book and you can read a book and do phone calls while you're doing infrared sauna. So remember that if you're on lockdown now, just order it from Amazon or wherever. And if you got a little more dough, then go to Clearlight or wherever, and infraredsauna.com, you get a nice one. I do it all the time. I do Instagram lives from it. I'm always doing it. I do either live broadcasts or I do business calls, or I leave a video that I'm reviewing just outside the glass door and I review videos. So I rarely just sit in it. I'm actually multitasking. So you could do that too. I do this all the time. I try to hit the sauna ideally about 5 days a week, and I'm sure that's got to be helping me not to get sick too. So anyway, let's go back on this Illuminati thing. So basically what I saw was that they believe, for whatever reason, I was only able to prowl so much, but they seem to, they love the Kabbalion, love it. And maybe it was just that particular group of it, I don't know, but they love the Kabbalion, and basically they believe that they can tap into negative energy, that is empowering them, that is fueling them, and that somehow they can avoid the backwards pendulum by doing some weird ritual, and I'm not really clear what that ritual was. Now, this is what even got me into reading the Bible. And I've not grown up as a Christian. My great-grandfather was a Christian preacher, so it's probably in me there somewhere. But the Bible, you could read the Sermon on the Mount, and you don't need to be Christian to read the Bible. The Bible has become basically the New Testament is basically my favorite book. And I've reread it so many times. I probably listen to it 2 hours a day when I'm doing things. And the reason I like the New Testament is not because I'm looking at the same way a normal person does. I'm not looking the way a typical person that would read that much is reading it. I'm reading a completely different way. I kind of view it, I don't know what to think. Again, I don't like talking about this because I feel like I can offend people. Some people take it more literally. Some people take it more metaphorically. I don't know how to take it, okay? I'm not in a position. I wasn't there. There was no iPhones around back then. I didn't see Jesus walking on water put on Snapchat. I don't know. I didn't see it. But what I did see was these incredibly powerful metaphors. And what I also noticed was that when I read it, I get a really weird high vibration energy kind of infusion. So I don't know what to make out of it, but I listen to the Bible all the time. And some of my favorite metaphors, a big one is the Sermon on the Mount. One of the most powerful things there is it talks about how love all people, but not just people who have done you right, but even people who have done you wrong, love them equally. That's very powerful because, again, when you're hating somebody, you're tapping into low vibration energy. So really choosing to love all people, although you can also have a boundary. Another one that's powerful in Sermon on the Mount is he says, and I'm probably getting this wrong. I probably should have this more memorized from how much I listen to it, but probably getting it wrong. I feel like with almost everything you can quote it and people will be like, oh, that's good. But with the Bible, some people that are really into it, they've read it they're like, well, you might have read it 100 times, but I read it 5,000 times. You got the wording wrong. So I'm paraphrasing here, and you'll get called out on any misquote the Bible really quickly. So I'm misquoting. But another one that I really like was this idea of walking on water. And that's this idea that when you have faith, it's almost like you can walk on water. You're staying connected to your high vibration energy. Another one that I like was turning the water into wine. This idea of transmuting a negative situation into a positive situation by having faith and staying connected to high vibration energy. Another one that I like was giving out the bread and the fish, this idea of just complete abundance. I really, really like that metaphor. I really like the ending in the book of John, and there's actually a movie on it with this. There was this guy from the show Lost that was he was on Lost. That's the only other place I've seen him, but he plays Jesus, which is quite the role to play. It's like the Book of John movie. It's the only good movie that I personally thought was that good. And at the end of that movie, you hear him talking about how the Father is in me and I am in you. And he talks about you as being like a vine that is either connected to the source or not connected to the source. And that really feeds into a lot of what we've been talking about here with you're either connected to your present energy or so much of the action that you take is just straight deranged, demonic, evil, bad. You think here's the main one. You think you're moving forward. Oh, actually, I haven't seen Passion of the Christ since I was a kid, so I should see that one too. But anyway, someone commented that. Men in Iron Mask commented that. But anyway, so I'll check that one out too. But anyway, yeah. So
my favorite comment is, "Where's Allie? We need him now for the scripture."
Yeah, he's like, I missed that one.
I missed the best parts.
Well, he would have been mad that if I don't take it literally, which I just don't have a strong opinion on that. But he's basically talking about like him being the vine, and then you have to be connected to it. The big thing I think people miss is that when you're not connected to your high vibration energy or whatever we'd metaphorically call that, you think you're moving forward, but you're actually moving backwards. You think that you're accomplishing something, but the bill's gonna be played later. And by the way, this person who I was dating, I have seen them pay such big bills. This person who seemed so spiritual had a vicious cocaine habit behind the scenes. This person is literally super famous for health food and literally is doing railing piles of coke behind the scenes. And their favorite part is the after effect where they recover for several days in this vicious coke alcohol hangover, where they're in a state of torture for several days. And I'm like, that's a little weird. I thought that you're into like Shilajit, like weird health tonics. And I bonded with you on that, and you're this completely different person than I thought. And in addition to that, and I think they were attracted to me to try to take me down, to be honest with you, because I think the thing writing them is like, he's a good target. And in addition to that, so watch out for yourself too. In addition to that, they also, I kind of don't want to get too specific because I feel like I identify the person, and I'll tell you later, but there was a lot of like just really bad stuff happening to this person. So it's like a candy of like outer shell high vibration, inner goop, raw, unadulterated sludge, poison, toxic waste of low vibration. And they're like opening me up and with like 5 hours of intimacy, and I'm like, it's like the most crazy experience of my life. But what they tried to shove down me was satanic. It was evil. I saw it running them. They tried to put it into me. And this person also had, and I love this person to death still. We're still a little bit friends, because I'm not, you know me, I walk on the wild side. Sometimes I'm still friends with them. But, you know, because I'm not afraid of it. Frankly, I view it like a joke at this point. But at the time when I didn't take it seriously, or when I was more engaged with this person, now I just kind of view it as ridiculous. But at the time I was more engaged with the person, what was the other symptom that I was going to tell you? It was, there was a bunch of them. Oh, here's what it was. This person had several exes that were still obsessed with them continually, and obsessed years later, like tortured. So what this person would do, I'm saying this person because I don't want, because unfortunately the mods could interpret it like we're trying to say that like a particular group of people do these things, and that's why I say this person. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. Anyway, so kidding. So anyway, humor. So point being that we're saying here is like they would have all these old people obsessed with them years later, and it was like a spider. There's this initial part with all the glory and the bliss, then they they love bomb them, they put them up on the spider web and eat off of them for years. And they thought that I was gonna become like that. They thought that I was gonna do that, but not me. You don't know who you're dealing with. And I just snipped it and walked away for 5 years. Now we're friends again. We bumped into each other. We chit chat, and just more of that good vibe of when we first knew each other. And then they don't see the thing underneath, but I know what's underneath. I know what's under there. And I've heard what's happened to their kind of high society friends and stuff, and it is dark. And so, yeah, so I've seen this, a lot of extremely, the cocaine hangover, the weird spider thing going on, but on the surface, like this spiritual luminary, like known in LA, hangs out in high society circles, like the cream of the crop, and attractive. So it was a lot of fun. Really smart person, learned a lot from him. But it was, yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff. I also have I've also dated 2 BPs. It's called a borderline personality. So I've dated 2 people that were borderline personality disorder, both very stunning. You wouldn't feel, if you'd seen it, you wouldn't feel bad for me. You'd be like, you're lucky. And even if that person would cut my arm off, I would still want to be with them. And that went off there, by the way. But the point is that, trust me, you wouldn't feel bad for me if you were to check them out. But they can really mess up your head. And you've seen what's happened to me when they mess up your head like that. And what borderline, often people with borderline personality disorder will have one or more spouses that have committed suicide. Let that land for a minute. And also something like 9 or 10% of what I read in that book of borderline personality disorder, people also commit suicide. So that thing running them makes them commit suicide, apparently, and gets their spouse to commit suicide. So I've seen that. So you've got a combination where I've seen what appeared like exorcism-level demonic entity possessions. I've also talked to a lot of people that very sadly are homeless and try to understand that. And I've actually spent hours. This is the kind of weird thing, me, I'm like weird like that. So like, I'm like, whenever you don't see me, I'm doing something weird, like, something super weird. So.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
What's he been up to?
No, I'm always doing something weird. So I have, so literally what I've done is oftentimes I'll talk to homeless people that seem really like how they're really struggling, something's running them. I'll talk to them for like 3 or 4 hours while buying them McDonald's or Subway subs and just let them talk because I want to understand it. I'll also sometimes look up videos of total psychos, like people in jail, and just see how they talk because I want to understand what's happening. Now, I'll tell you you ready for another one? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to go even weirder now, okay? All right, you ready? It's so weird. Okay, so because I want to understand this, because I feel like if you can understand it, then you can see it coming and you can help people to protect themselves. I read this crazy book by this guy called Aleister Crowley. And the reason why is because I want to understand it. I read it, and to be honest, I couldn't understand it. I'm sure that like probably I need to read like some kind of interpretation. I need to like re-listen to it, but I left it as an audiobook, okay? I listened to this at the mom of my kid's house. The mom of my kids, guys, you ready? Is everybody ready for this? You ready for me to get weird? Say, Owen, I want you to get weird. Say, Owen, I want you to get weird, okay? Egging me on for this. I'm gonna get even weirder here, okay? All right, someone says I need to bring out the bong for this. Okay, so we're gonna get weirder. I listened to Aleister Crowley, and I personally just found it really stupid and boring, and I just start to pass out. I'm just like, this kind of sucks. I start to pass out. It's like the opposite of the Bible for me. And he's apparently, I really need to study more on this. It's very loose for me, but apparently it's like some kind of like satanic Bible thing or something like that. Like some kind of thing these like weirdos, like, I don't know. To be fair, look, there's always good things in anything, and I'm sure there's probably things about like independence. From what I gather, it seems like this like Satanism thing, they feel that, you know, Christians or people that are more high vibration are like serving this God that won't let them enjoy life now. And then if God really love you, you just enjoy life now. Like it's something more like that, okay? So they feel like it's, from their perspective, they feel like God would be Satan because it's like you know, you're gonna go become like Mother Teresa and just be like this slave. It's like how they feel, right? A little bit closer to almost like sort of a weirder, more extreme version of Ayn Rand objectivism. You know, like in, say, the book like Atlas Shrugged, which I do think has a lot of very valid perspectives. Very, very valid perspectives. So read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand to read that perspective. So Aleister Crowley, some kind of like weird esoteric guy. I don't know enough about it to comment on it. You know, probably people on here that know more about it. Anyway, I leave it running. Maybe this is what caused it. Maybe it didn't. But the mom of my kids, nicest woman in the world. Like, where have we met a nicer woman ever than this woman? Never mad, never in a bad mood. It's being left on the house, starts freaking shrieking, screaming at my kids, going super crazy, saying she's gonna abandon the kids. I'm gonna abandon the kids. I'm gonna run out and kill myself, running around the house screaming and going crazy, runs out of the house in tears, freaking out, and just starts driving around the neighborhood while my kids are crying. Never seen her do this in 15, 20 years. Okay, runs out, drives around the neighborhood, blows up my text with all this insanity. My kids are just screaming and crying. I'm just like, watch TV, kids. You know, like, and then comes back and then like was normal again eventually. And then has been fine since. Never talked to her about this, don't want to. I don't even know she'd have a concept. But she doesn't know that I left some kind of creepy, frickin' satanic Bible running. And I would just say this. Okay. So do the mathematical odds that in 15, 20 years, I guess it's been about 15 years, I've known this person, have kids with this person, never seen that kind of behavior, leave Aleister Crowley running, and then it's like, I'm gonna kill myself, I hate you, I'll panic, and running out of the house. I don't know if that's what caused it. I'm not saying it did. It's one anecdote. That's not proof of anything. And in saying so, like, that's really not proof of anything. But what I do know is that the odds of that happening are freaking low. So that is also things that I look at. I look at statistical anomalies from an empirical standpoint, asking myself, what are the odds of that happening? I bet you that Crowley probably has something interesting to say. I'd like to learn what it is. I'm an open-minded person. But it's creepy as fuck. It's just like really freaking creepy, whatever it is. But I don't know. Look, again, I'm not a fearful person. I don't mind looking at this. I don't think I'm going to read that and become a freak or something any more than I am now. So it doesn't scare me to look at that. Okay, I'm like I feel like I can look, like they say there's a book called Built to Last by Jim Collins, and he says that the job of a CEO is not to just look at the beautiful patio stones, but to pick up each patio stones and find the slugs underneath. Like, while everybody's looking, oh, the business, look at this. The CEO's got to see what's going on under the surface and actually understand the full picture of things. So I love to meditate. I like to be around positive people. I'm a believer in that. I'm run by, at my core, wanting to contribute to the world. But I also feel that it's hard to make boundaries to bad things that you don't even know are coming. And I didn't know that a lot of this stuff was coming. And I feel as an educator, we've got to be looking at things like this to understand what our clients are dealing with, what you're dealing with at home. And that's why, if you want to learn more, go to youtube.com/JulienHimself and actually let us learn a little bit, let us teach you some of the stuff. Because while we don't know everything about this and it's speculative, and Cena keeps saying, hold up, the person just flipped out. Yes, it was the mom of my kids. She just went freaking nuts, okay? So I would like to learn a little bit more about this. But really, like, this is still, in my view, less than 1% of what I've seen. I'm just throwing a couple little examples out there. And again, like we said, end of the day, it doesn't ultimately matter what's causing this, because here's the flip side. The flip side is that there are psychological and biological things that could also be causing this, that maybe it just resembles a lot like a demon. So it doesn't necessarily it looks like a demon, walks, talks, acts like a demon, but maybe it's not. Maybe it is just biological, psychological. So maybe you could even I have a lot of explanations about this, some that I even gave yesterday. Maybe you could even wrap with some of the biological explanations for this, as opposed to just psychological, basically like what you teach.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, the other thing I was going to say too with behind the scenes, we talked about, okay, like you see it out there, but one of the things that also really showed this to me is when I started doing really deep coaching. I do like small group coaching. You missed the best parts.
He's still going too.
It's like, if you just came a little earlier. Oh my God. No, but for real, like, a lot of like coaching when it comes to like, say, past trauma, things that people disowned. And when you hear the behind the scenes of people, not the fronts you put on, but the behind the scenes of what's going on, it is absolutely insane. Like the violence, the abuse, it's insane.
Yeah, maybe give them a context of like, in healing trauma, you deal with a lot of like high-end people that don't have a ton of trauma and help them to just go to another level. But in addition, you have a range of people you've helped. And be frank about everything from whether it's molestation or relatives that have killed themselves or relatives that have died of cancer, they've themselves had cancer or been viciously, graphically assaulted, and that you've had to try to heal them through this. Make this clear that like the world that you're treading in. And of course, there's many, many people who are just winning at life that just want to actually hit another level too, and they haven't been through stuff, and you coach a lot of people like that, but you're also coaching people at the other end of that spectrum. I mean, make it clear, let's be blunt, a lot of what you've been coaching the past half decade.
Yeah, so diving into that world, and again, there's like two sides of it, right? Like a lot of people dealing with really heavy stuff, but even the ones who are successful, they can still have some heavy stuff and just really deep down, but it's very common. Like a lot of people, for example, from abuse, right? Sexual abuse all the way to even like rape. A lot, by the way, from parents, relatives, or close friends. And this is women, but also men, right? Like one example that comes to mind.
If you're someone who's had this, realize that we've seen this. You're not alone in this. This is sadly way too common, and it's disgusting what happened to you, and you can bounce back.
Yeah, no, it's very common, for example, and at first, like I was like, oh my God, and then I'm like, how is this happening? And then I would see it again and again, like very common that, again, not going into details, but someone came to mind where they're like, you know what, when I was a kid, I was 12 years old, and my cousin raped me, and my cousin was 16 years old, both guys, and I haven't told anyone. I'm 32 years old here today. My business is successful, but I just can't, for the love of God, get into any kind of like healthy relationship because I'm holding this down. I finally told someone, but it's still there. It's not been processed. From that to, parents, like there's another client, his mother made him get naked, and the sister was there and just shamed him. Another one, his father.
Now they really see why we believe in demons.
Right? Yeah, I mean, this is stuff you hear. Like another one, his father would slam him down, and he just remembers vividly, like the mustache of his father, like making out with him and saying, like, "You're powerless, nothing you can do." Like,
I don't even want, as a grown adult, dealing with that from even like a buddy clowning me. That would mess me up for like a week. And this is something happening as a child with no defenses.
exactly, and that's your caretaker, the person you're meant to trust, and like your life's in their hands. And at first I'm like, maybe this is just a fluke. And it was like again and again and again. And at the surface, completely normal. You would never, ever, ever guess that, oh, behind the scenes, this is actually what happened. This is actually what's going on.
Look at you and think that you've been through the things that you've publicly been known to go through. As we're sitting here like, hey, guys.
That's
you wouldn't
true.
see that.
Yeah, so again, this is really what my focus has been, like venturing into the behind the scenes. Like not the little fronts, not what you see painted out there in society, the hey, how you doing? Great.
Yeah.
How you really doing? Like diving into that. And this is where a lot of the epiphanies, content, knowledge, teachings have been coming from.
Who am I even talking to when I say how you doing?
Exactly. Right?
Who
How
am
you
I even
doing?
talking to?
Absolutely insane. So again, this is the work I do, and linking it to trauma. Okay, and I want to make this clear for everyone. Every single human has experienced trauma. Okay, to be clear, when we hear this, I know it's a charged word, and we immediately think of the examples I just gave, right? Like, oh, of course that's traumatic. Yes, but every single person has it because it depends on your perspective. Meaning, a child, for example, lost in the grocery store could be traumatic. Feels like you're going to die. You may be speaking up in class and the whole classroom laughing. Might seem traumatic. You're like, the classroom's the world. If I don't fit in here, I'm going to die. So we all have experiences like this. And what happens is when our survival instinct kicks in, we disown either an aspect of ourselves or the entire experience. And we create this split within. Every single person had this split within. This is the foundation of your self-esteem, so to say. And even if you had the perfect childhood, you have this.
The crazy guy's back, by the way.
Is he back? He's like, I want to hear the. Yeah, it's like, no, but like out of words, like, just let him in, let him in. Ali, this is for you. Just let him in.
Clowning us, just posted the same thing. It's gonna be fun to be like a 16-year-old kid sitting down, like it's almost like you can poke these guys on YouTube, like make them do something. Okay, we'll keep going.
But once more, going back to my example with Ali, notice how long we've been going.
Yeah.
Still sitting like, must get back in, must share the quotes, must share the quotes. Completely possessed. But every single person has this. So we have this split within. Okay, we have things we've disowned, things that are stuffing down, and we go through life this way. Right? This pressure, this constant stuff it down, and things will poke at it, which activates those things you disowned. Okay, that's your same survival instinct kicks in. It's like bubbling up to the surface, getting triggered, right? Or even those demons are like, what just took over? My buttons got pushed. Past trauma, things you've disowned. Okay, you also, and this is key, you can tell sometimes just how much is suppressed by how tense the person is, or just a little bit off in terms of like twitches, right? If you're someone who's kind of like a little bit twitchy, very tense, a lot's down there. It restricts the flow of life in a way. It's like you're spending all your energy stuffing it down.
Don't sleep on what Julian is saying here. This is massive.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on what Julian is. Do you want to say it again?
Restricts the flow of life, or as we talked about before, like we said, angels coming through. If you want to be able to just like express yourself, like be like a child again, it's removing all those blockages. And once more, don't be naive. You have them. We all do. And the ways that we tend to try to get rid of them, we touched on one, it's expressing them, right? The other one is like we try to stuff it down and numb it, right? Whether that's drinking, you name it, even eating. That, by the way, was my go-to. And I also gained a lot of weight through that whole scandal because, again, I'll have the occasional like glass of wine every now and then, but I don't really drink that much. So it's like food. It's like numb. It's like coming up, food. Another big one is distractions, right? Like social media, movies, or pornography. That's another huge one. Like people will just wait for just their next hit of porn, and that's how they go through the days. Porn, YouTube. Okay, that, another side one, behind the scenes of 90 plus clients. What do you do in your free time? Porn and YouTube. That's it. That's all they do. Go to work or whatever do. Even successful ones. Free time, porn on YouTube, porn on YouTube, porn on YouTube. It's insane, this cycle that they're stuck in. So the key is really identifying the blocks, and this is the next big barrier. What's down there, what you disowned, you don't even know what's down there because you'll disown it and there will be so much resistance and layers and layers and layers of resistance that even if you try to become consciously aware of it, it doesn't come up, right? Like consciously now you might be like, well, maybe there was a couple experiences or a couple things I disowned, but for the most part, impossible, okay? Famous saying in the self-help spiritual world, there's what you know you don't know, and there's what you don't know. That's the gold. So you got to first bring that into your awareness. Like, how do I become aware of what I don't know? Okay, and there's a series of processes. Once you get the process, it's very simple, but unfortunately, no one teaches you this. So it's bringing that up and then learning how to let go of it. And when you do this, the changes in your life, the amount of action you can take, the amount of mental and energetical RAM that you free up is absolutely insane. Right? Even if you think about willpower, you ever ask yourself, like, you might be someone who's like, I just have so little willpower. That's not actually true. We all have the exact same amount of willpower. The only difference is you're wasting all of your willpower keeping that down, stuffing it down. And then in terms of moving forward, you have very little. Right? There's a difference between willpower stuffing it down versus willpower towards producing. Right now, am I using willpower? Of course. In a producing way, right? If there was no intention, direction, concentration, it would just be all over. I wouldn't even be making sense in what I'm saying. But what allows me to go like this for so long and in such a very modest, powerful way is I'm not wasting it stuffing that down. I'm not wasting it resisting and disowning different parts of myself. And even that, it's like, okay, the other thing with willpower, people live, we talked about demons. This is the analogy. People live with this demon inside that is pulling them towards quote unquote failure, whatever that is for you. And they need to discipline that demon to get themselves to move towards success.
By the way, as you're saying this thing about how you can do public speaking for longer when you have energetic flow, it's sad because I feel like it's one of those gems that someone at home, if you're watching this at home, you'll hear and it will go over your head. And then you'll think that you can kind of train yourself to do, as an example, say long public speaking. And it'll be very, very difficult for you to replicate the kind of result that you'd see Julien or myself doing when you don't understand what he's talking about. Doesn't mean that you couldn't do it, but it'll be a lot harder. And it's sad because I feel like the exact people that need to hear that are the ones that will block it out. It's almost like the main advice that you give like this, like people will block it out. And I feel like they see you or me doing it and they feel like it's not for them. Like they feel, oh, that's like, you're like this famous social media influencer, teacher, seminar leader, and that can't be for me. But in reality, what you're teaching in Transformation Mastery is to make that for the person. It's to actually replicate that result. And our goal is to get you to replicate that result. When we're pestering you, go to Julien's YouTube channel, Julien Himself on YouTube. Go to Julien's Instagram, Julien Himself on Instagram. It's because we want to begin to hammer you with this kind of mindset. So, I think it's super duper duper important. And I also want to let you know that people who don't get this kind of stuff, looking at it from the perspective of people who do, it looks absolutely absurd and weird and bizarre, people who don't get this stuff. So you don't want to be missing this. It's just an area that you've got to fix. So go and not only watch the videos, but dig into the content. If you like the content that you see there, you might even want Julien to mentor you personally. Go to JulienMentoring.com. And there's literally a free call on there, JulienMentoring.com. There's a free call, and you actually wind up consulting and doing a free call, JulienMentoring.com. Go right now while you're thinking of it, and just go fill that out, and you'll be surprised. The free call is very, very helpful. You'll learn a lot. And by the way, you might also want to do mentoring with Julien. Go to JulienMentoring.com, gives that option as well, and wind up working on this. And you can actually wind up having this kind of transformation yourself. Highly recommended you do that right now. Very, very, very eye-opening. And if you really understood the degree to which we've dug into this, it's really, really wild and crazy. I'm going to let you keep going a bit on the biological aspect of this, but I also have a lot to say on this as well, by the way.
No. The other thing I was going to say is the people who need it the most won't receive it. And if we take that model of, say, demons, why? because the demon won't let it. Just as, remember one of the first examples that we talked about in this live stream, right? It's like you get mad, like triggered mad, and even though you find out the reasons, like you're not mad, you'll still look for more reasons. It's like, no, but still. Same here. People who need it the most, they'll hear this and they're like, and that voice will be like, nah, that's just some woo-woo stuff. I think it's just double down on it. And what it does is it always convinces you the answer is just out of reach. Key. If you always believe the answer is just out of reach, and it's been like that for a long time, you're being fooled. You're being pimped by the demon. Give it a chance, okay? And so many people, they have that demon like whispering in their ear, right? Like what's that, the Lord of the Rings movie? There's that little snake serpenty guy, like whispering. They listen, and then something might happen that disrupts it, or it gets just so bad and they just kind of wake up and snap out of it temporarily, or they hear a talk like this and temporarily that consciousness floats up and the little serpenty, you can let me know in the comments, I forget the name of this character, but it's like Lord of the Rings, kind of like fades away and they have that glimpse, and then there's the readiness. If you're having that glimpse right now, take action on it, because trust me, if you don't, that little serpent tongue voice thing is going to come right back. And the most common thing is like, I wish I would have listened sooner. I wish I would have given this chance sooner. I wish I wouldn't listen to that voice, my ego, that demonic energy just telling me, just out of reach, just a little bit more. It's just good. You just need to hustle a little bit more discipline, a little bit more, just out of reach. BS. It is well within reach.
The worst part is when they actually wind up getting the goal like that, and then it gets worse. They're actually kicking the can down the road, and there's a bigger payback to make. I'll give you, before we wrap, I'll give you a little bit of my take on the more biological, psychological aspect of it. So the way that I think...
It's not Gollum for the comments. Not Gollum. I think it's in the second Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of my take on it. I think that the biological, psychological way of looking at it is that a couple things. We've talked about this in many videos. Emotions are addictive. Some people would say they're as addictive as heroin. So whatever emotions that you experience a lot, let's say, for example, that you live in the inner city, is very violent. Perhaps if it's violent, you have to be ready for a fight all the time. Then you come to a nicer part of the city, you're sitting at a restaurant, you're like, looking at me, right? Say maybe you've been imprisoned, it's just constant violence. So your body actually adapts to your environment, but unfortunately your body can adapt to a very hostile environment, and now you get addicted to negative emotions. Then what happens is that your mind in that addiction begins to loop on those negative emotions because it's addicted. And then what happens is that it actually rewires the synaptic pathways. So many, many different things rewire when you're hooked on negativity. One of them is that you're rewiring your emotional addictions. You actually get addicted to certain emotions and it rewires. This then becomes such an addiction that it alters your thoughts. Some people would say that candida, which forms when you eat too much sugar and different things that you can eat that you shouldn't be eating, candida, they say can actually hijack the brain to make you eat foods that will generate more unhealthy candida in the body. It actually can manipulate your thoughts. Well, in the same way, the emotions that you're addicted to can actually begin to manipulate your thoughts. Now, if you keep having these thoughts over and over, it can actually remold the brain to have these synaptic pathways that become superhighways, and at a certain point, it's just running, and whatever conscious will that you have in you is gone. And so that's why I think that it can appear a lot like a demon. Now, and again, we'll make a different video about this, but where I think that explanation has a limit is just really weird stuff that I've seen, really, really deep. And what's weird, and this is where it gets really weird, is again, I don't really know what to make of the Bible, but so many of the principles in it show you how to avoid the fate that we just talked about here. It doesn't mean the Bible has to be real or not, that Jesus Christ has to be a real guy or not. I wasn't there. I didn't have an iPhone running. I don't know. I'm not in a position to know that. You may know. I don't know. You may know. Good for you. I don't know. But what I have seen is that many of the principles in there really, really ward this stuff off on a really, really deep level. There's also books like the Bhagavad Gita, which talks about you're not entitled to the fruit of the action. You're only entitled to the action itself. And again, Julien talked about not losing energy. If you want to maintain energy at a high level, if you're just enjoying the action itself, you're summoning a lot of high vibration energy. And when you get attached to the result too much, you tend to summon a lot of low vibration energy. And there's all these other little weird aspects that you'll see where someone can actually get to the point where they're really good at getting the result, and they get those kind of shark eyes, and they get into a negative state, and then they start exhibiting many of these demonic traits. So there's a lot to this, a lot going on with it. It's a really deep rabbit hole. And it's frustrating because it's one of these areas that if we cover too much in depth, I feel like it hurts sales because it's so unrelatable. So there's such little financial incentive to actually talk about this. And ironically, if you talk about it, people will accuse you of the opposite. They're like, you're saying some crazy thing and you're trying to benefit, so it's literally like not really what we're talking about. And I don't know how much we would talk about it, or maybe we could talk about it and delete the video. Maybe at some point,
or let us know in the comments below. Like, let us know, like, once this ends, not in the chat here, in the comments below, let us know what you thought. Like, if you went through this, let us know. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it too far out there? Not far out there enough? Could you want us to go more? Do you want less? Let us know. Like, for real, we'll make what helps you the most. If you resonate with it, if you're ready, like, if you like this, in the comments below, not in the chat. Let us know once this ends.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of Christianity, I feel like it could be used for good or bad, because I feel like it could be used to manipulate people into going into wars, all this crazy stuff, or convincing them not to live a prosperous life because they're just waiting to go to heaven.
I mean, anything, right? Like, for everyone here, any advice, can be used to help you or hurt you. Help you or hurt you. And this is also key, and this is why a lot of people sometimes might fall off. Like, they might have the answer right there, is they just misinterpret it or apply it the wrong way or use it the wrong way. That little demon steers them astray. And why it's so crucial to have feedback and people guide you and help you through it so you don't use it the wrong way.
Yeah, in addition, I'll say that my favorite part of the Bible is actually that the main point of Jesus' message beyond the Old Testament, this was the main point, at least from the way I took it. So you'd have your own opinion so clearly. But the way that I took it was he was really against virtue signaling. That's like the main point of the New Testament. Like, he's literally just ripping a new a-hole into the Pharisees. He's like, I can't remember all the lines. It's like, you're like a cup, white on the outside, dirty on the inside, hypocrite. And he's basically saying, and he's like, you're blocking people from going to heaven, but you frame it like you're trying to help them. Like, he's really pissed. This dude is just pissed. And he's basically just saying that, like, you can virtue signal that you're this person that fits into society by doing these little rituals when you yourself on the inside are a nasty human being. So one of the big arguments is that he's healing people on the Sabbath, right? The Sabbath, my understanding, is Sunday, maybe it's Saturday for Jewish people. I'm not even clear on that. But he's healing people on the Sabbath, and they're saying, no, you can't do that. You can't do it. He's saying, why not? This person's hurting. Why wouldn't I help them? You're just trying to have this little arbitrary set of rules, and what you're not doing is just helping people. Or what he's saying is that it's not about what you're showing on the, because he's talking about the 10 Commandments. He's saying it's not about you just like looking like you're living up to the 10 Commandments. If you're a person who's just dark in your heart, you're just a nasty human being. Yeah, maybe you follow the 10 Commandments, but you're just a nasty, just piece of crap. You're not going to heaven. That was his main point, is that it's who you are on the inside. Now, go from there, what he's saying, and this is the other main point. So basically he's saying, number one, don't virtue signal, because it's not about what you're virtue signaling to the collective. It's about who you are on the inside. Number two, he's saying basically that even if you die, you're better to be killed because you're a good person than you are to virtue signal, because you're going to lose your soul. And he says, I can't remember the exact quotes, but he's saying things like, if like just like you're better to like cut your own eye out than you are to be a piece of crap person, because you're just going to burn in hell. And basically what he's saying is like, he's really just kind of tossing down the gauntlet there. And so what he's basically saying is, and this is where it gets really interesting, I'm going to throw one last kind of curveball at you. He's basically saying, do the opposite of communism. And because he's also saying, don't let the left hand know what the right is doing, or something like that, right? So in other words, like he says, when you give charity, don't talk about it. Try an experiment. Try doing charity and tell no one about it at all. Notice how you feel in your body. You feel very high vibration. Now try doing charity and virtue signal the charity. And notice how you start feeding off of the validation of it. I think sometimes showing that you're doing charity could be good because it inspires others to do good things. I think there's a space for that. But take special notice of the virtue signaling that you're following society's little conventions. Oh, you're charitable. Oh, you're helping the little people and showing everybody, versus just who you are on the inside. And this is very, very terrifying for communism. I think they want to it's first thing communists do is they get rid of Christianity. And I think a big reason why is because you can't have like in communism, you want a bunch of people that are virtue signaling to each other and then showing everybody else how good they are by the collective standards, as opposed to actually focusing on doing it for themselves, not virtue signaling it, and just doing it for you. And also this idea that you'd be better off to just get killed even by the collective, because a big point in the Bible, he says, they'll hate you because of me. And the way that I take that is they'll hate you because you've embraced positivity. Because low vibration energy tends to hate high vibration energy. They hate you because of me. So if you take Jesus as a more of like a metaphor, as almost like high vibration verbalizing through a metaphor, that was a way of interpreting the Bible that I found to be very, very powerful. And basically just, they'll hate you because of me, because you're in high vibration. And you'll notice that when you're in very high vibration, it attracts a lot of haters, and they feel something in them to snuff out your light. And he's saying you'd be better to cut your own body parts off than to just lose your soul and go to hell. And that's very, very bad for communism, because what that's saying, because they feed off of like, yeah, we might have purged a bunch of people. We did this massive purge of like tens of millions of people, maybe 100 million plus of people, but it's for the collective. And, the state told you to do it. So listen to the state. Don't worry about your soul. That doesn't matter. The state told you to do it. So got to get rid of it right away. So look at it through that standpoint. Very, very, very interesting. And by the way, here's the funny thing. You'd think that Christianity would lead to communism because it's about helping your fellow man. But the way I took it was it's about helping other people because it's the right thing to do, and you don't need to tell anybody about it. You do it because it's between you and God, and that's how you commune with God. So that's sort of another thing that, again, for me, this was sort of a video about speculation. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm not teaching this in authority. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a priest. My great-grandfather actually was a Christian preacher. He was in World War I, World War II. My grandfather's in World War II. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a priest. But I love the book because I like reading it for the metaphors. I really like that movie as well. Because I really like the end part of the movie. It's very, very powerful. At the very end of the movie, a very touching moment is he looks, I think it was at Peter, and he says, Peter, do you love me? And Peter's like, yes, Lord, I love you. And he's like, something like, take care of my lambs. And then he looks at him again, he goes, Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yes, Lord. He's like, look out for my lambs. And then again he asks, he's like, Peter, do you love me? He's like, yes, you know that. You know I do. And he's like, take care of my lambs. And the way that I took that was to love all people, even people that could have hurt you, to love everybody. Doesn't mean you have to not put a boundary around it, but love all people, be a good person, have a good soul, be a good spirit, and there's a great, great reward for that it opens you up to a dimension of yourself that you may not have known exists. So that's what the value that I got out of it. And I think reading Eckhart Tolle and a lot of Eastern philosophy helped me to see it from a different dimension. So I wasn't taking it as a story or as literal. I was taking it as metaphorical, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was very, very relevant because I was curious about it. I'm like, now that society's basically going communist, I was like, well, why do they hate Christianity so much? So I was curious why. I didn't like Christianity when Christianity was used to browbeat you and judge you. But then now that we've gone far left, I was like, well, then why do they hate the Christians? So I wanted to know. I tend to always root for the underdog. So back when the Christian was they're kind of browbeating you, you're not good. I'm like, I don't like you. I'm a rebel, But then now that they're getting browbeaten, I was curious about it because I was curious about it because I want to know why they're bashing them. I was curious, I always feel like you can always know who your enemy is by who you're not allowed to talk about, who you can't talk openly about. That's probably not a good person. So I was curious, why are they hating on Christians? I was curious about that. So even me not being a Christian, I was curious about what that was, and I really did have the experience, almost like what they say, that experience of the Holy Spirit taking over your body. I really, really felt like a very, very deep, powerful spiritual experience reading the Bible. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what to make out of it any more than I know to make it to mom my kids, hearing that audio of Alice or Crowley and flipping out. I don't know what that means. I'm speculating. I'm not an expert on this. I don't have a firm opinion on it. There's a lot of areas I'm curious about. I hope that at some point I could understand it better. Not telling you how to think, just having a conversation with you. It's we're, I don't smoke weed, but it's we're sitting around smoking a blunt, just having a little bit of fun and speculating. That was the goal of this video. We said, if you just got here, we said at the beginning of the video, we either had 10 of our most empirically tested concepts, and do we want to do this, or do we want to do maybe a more kind of funny one, off the wall? We chose to do a funny one. I hope you enjoyed it. Make absolutely sure to do something very, very important. Go follow Julien on YouTube, Julien himself. I'm in a ton of the videos. I'm most commonly featured in Julien's videos. I've got piles in there. We're always shooting content together. We got great experience shooting videos together. And so go now, youtube.com/Julien himself. Follow Julien over there. Follow him. And also press notification. If you don't press notification, you won't see the videos. You got to follow Julien on Julien himself. Press notification. And here's the final thing. We're going to do a little quick Instagram after party because the cool thing on Instagram is we can go split screen. So split screen is super duper dope. We're going to go to Julien's Instagram, Julien himself. What you got to do is you got to follow, hey, Mitch Manley, good to see you, brother. What you got to do is you got to follow Julien, okay? Follow Julien, Julien himself, Julien himself, HIMSELF. SELF. I think I got that right. Julien himself on Instagram. Go follow Julien now on Instagram. Press notification on and press follow. And what we're gonna do is something we can't do here, which is that we're able to actually, do split screen.
We're gonna bring on Ali.
Yeah, we're gonna bring. Yeah. Ali, I would 100% bring him
on there. So
100%.
Make sure you go to Instagram.
100%.
You don't want to miss out on that.
100%. But what we'll do is hop on here on Julien's Instagram, and we're gonna go split screen. So it's gonna be a little after party for the people that, if you're really into this live and you want to have an open discussion, we can actually easily bring you in the chat and you can talk to us. So in just a moment now, Julien himself, and it's literally this thing here. Okay, we got our phones. We had my Instagram running and Julien's Instagram running. We're gonna go do this now. We're gonna jump on Instagram right now. So we'll see you on Julien's Instagram. If you're on my Instagram, go to the Julien himself Instagram. I'm gonna shut this off. Go to the Julien himself Instagram now. JULIEN himself Instagram. Follow Julien. Press notifications if you're on my Instagram. I'm gonna turn this off on my Instagram. So I'll see you guys later. Go over to Julien's Instagram. It's his other phone. Okay, it's Instagram Inception here. So go to the Instagram Inception. Okay, so I'm gonna see you guys on Julien's Instagram now for the after party in just a sec. So wrap that up, okay? And then you on YouTube, if you're seeing this, go to Julien's Instagram now. We're gonna see you on there in just a sec. You gotta follow Julien. Follow Julien Blanc on Instagram now. This is his Instagram. Hop on here, it's beginning to fill up. You can actually, as you prepare the Instagram after party from YouTube, you can actually see it filling. Okay, so we're gonna jump on here in just a sec. What's up, guys? Vinny, Terry, Sunko, what's up, guys? James, what's up, guys? So we're going over right now to Instagram right now, okay? We're gonna hop over, love you guys. Instagram after party, Julien himself, okay? Make sure before you even jump on here, by the way, Alexander Fallon, yes, we'll read Freedom from Addiction, thank you. Another guy kept asking me if I'm gonna write a book. I'm sure I will at some point. YouTube.com/Julien himself. Follow Julien and get notification. And we will see you on here. You can literally see, you can watch it as it fills up. Yep. The Instagram after party. We're gonna shut this off and we're gonna see you on the Instagram after party. We're gonna go split screen. We're gonna see you guys on here. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Truck Driving Raw Dread? What's up, Phil? What's up, NBD? What's up, Igoki? Okay, what's up, Reckless? We're gonna hop on here. And we're gonna see you guys on this Instagram after party. We're gonna go split screen and talk to you. So hop over here now. Follow Julien on youtube.com/Julien himself. Hop on here. This is a great live. Okay, you guys are gonna continue now. So we're about to get the after party started. And all of you here on YouTube, follow Julien on youtube.com/Julien himself. And then hop on this after party here. We're gonna go split screen. Thank you so much for being here. Means the world to us. Love you to death. Probably should have my mic up by my mouth there. Okay, I normally have it here. Love you to death. Excited to be here. Julien, wrap it up here.
And see you in the after party.
Yeah, great
Wait.
over here.
I literally just saw Ali join. Don't miss out. Thank you.
Like, this program is such a game changer. The way everything's structured and the material, it's been already, even for me, I'm noticing a crazy change in the way that my whole life's like playing out.
What you put together is just incredible. There's nothing like that.
I've just jumped like a million levels. It's just been a complete 180 for my experience of existing. That's awesome.
It's just been so huge in terms of so many of the things I'm finally understanding and realizing and epiphanies I'm having.
What you do is a huge inspiration to me, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things you can give to another human in this entire world.
You saved my life, man. I'm telling you, this is real, man.
Sometimes all it takes is just one person who believes in you. Find people who are where you are in life and model them, work with them. I would not be here if I didn't have people who held me accountable.
Wow.
I just felt a click and things are changing.
This program was just top notch.
Seriously, like, this is a masterpiece. This is perfect.
Everything, the way it's set up, the live calls, like all the support from the coaches is incredible.
It's been nuts. I just had like tears of joy.
This was the best decisions I ever made.
Thank you for creating something wonderful like this.
This program was
phenomenal.
This program was amazing.
This program has definitely changed my life.
I know for a fact I'm in the right place. This is exactly what I was expecting from the program.
It's been spectacular.
I feel really lucky to have found you.
Thank you so much, Julien. It's worth every dollar.